meeting rose to head in the opener late in the first half. However, Frank Kessie equalized just after the hour mark and Hala turned in Simon Adingara's cross in the 81st minute to spark wild celebrations among the sea of orange in the Abidjan stands. Ivory Coast success sees them add this year's title to those claimed in 1992 and 2015, while this win also allows them to join Nigeria on 3 Cup of Nations triumphs overall. Now, even as the county government continue to raise concerns over the debt allegedly left by the predecessors, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has implored the county bosses to pay the pending bills so as to deliver services to Kenyans. While responding to Trans Nzoia Governor Georgina Tembea, who was denied services at KEMSA due to debt left by his predecessor party Khaemba, Gachagua urged the county bosses to clear the debt to avoid such scenarios.
Mheshimiwa na komiti wakisema hakuna dawa kwa hospitali. Watu wa KEMSA walipamilia pesa yangu. Pesa kufika huko wakasema tulikuwa na deni ya mwaka ya 2018 wakakwamilia pesa hawala kuleta madawa na KEMSA ni yako. Sasa wewe tuangalie mambo yangu huko. Hawaikuje ukisema watu mko na madawa watasema iko maana itakuwa imefika.
Kama kulikuwa na madeni kwa KEMSA lazima ulipe kwa sababu dawa ya deni ni kufanya nini? Dawa ya deni ni kufanya nini? Ndio si mimi nasema hivi ya debt ilichukuliwa na your predecessor. Ukuwe kama sisi na rais tulipa madeni ya 9.8 trillion. Tutalipa. Hatuwezi ruka hiyo madeni ya Kenya.
Health Susan Mohamed has equally continued to campaign for the Social Health Insurance Fund shift, insisting that the program seeks to give Kenyans good coverage at the hospitals.
Wewe ikiwa uko na ugonjwa sugu, ugonjwa wa kansa, sukari, tumeweka fund inaitwa Emergency Chronic and Critical Illness, hautalipa chochote. Serikali ya Kenya itakushughulikia. Hatulindi mama peke yake, tunalinda mama, tunalinda mtoto, tunalinda mwanafunzi na tunalinda mzee, tunalinda jamii. Katika hii sheria mpya tumesema kila mtu atalipa 2.75%. Lakini kuna watu naibu wa rais wa kizungu mingi wanadanganya Wakenya, wanasema sisi tumeongeza, watakuwa wanalipa pesa mingi sana. Katika hiyo mfumo ya 2.75%, 54% of Kenya watakuwa wanalipa bei ya chini. Wale watu ambao watakuwa wanalipa bei nyingi ni watu kama wewe na Ibrahim.
And Jaramogi Oginga Odinga University of Science and Technology is set to refund all staff members their housing levy deductions made in January 2024. In an internal memo, the Deputy Vice Chancellor stated that the deductions would be refunded by February 9th. Earlier, the Federation of Kenya Employers asked its members to stop further housing levy deductions in light of a Court of Appeal decision. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Alceto. Good morning.
.5 SpiceFM, Kisumu.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
The man who looks at a beautiful girl and doesn't talk to her will end up serving lunch at her wedding.
Hi, City. Do like that.
My father has killed a mouse. Will he fail to kill a man?
Ameua panya.
Small mammal, big mammal.
Mtu atamshinda.
I mean, I don't know. What are they saying? How are we comparison? I mean, you kill a mouse.
What are they saying?
What they're saying is, my father has killed a mouse. Will he fail to kill a man? Name, surprise. Someone's name.
The name surprised you?
No, the name is surprise.
No, what am I saying? I'm from Nigeria, man. I met somebody called I Believe. So your name is I Believe? Yes, my name is I Believe. But that's the short form. I said, excuse me? I said, yes, my name is I Believe. So what's the full name? I believe in the goodness of God.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Revenge is for children. It's for kids. When you grow up, you realize the best revenge you can take on somebody is to ignore them.
Now, I'm just new in politics. It is not everybody's cup of tea. That's why some people come in one term and that's it for them.
Political parties in this country do not have ideologies, whether luring or otherwise.
And that is the effect of corruption. Any time an offense occurs anywhere in the country, it is the job of the Inspector General to look into it. Whether it's corruption, whether it's murder, whether it's petty, that is his job.
If we have chosen to be a corrupt nation, then we produce corrupt leaders. Everything then becomes chaotic that you cannot be able to change a nation.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
You tune into Kenya's biggest conversation. My name is Ramanya.
Amen. Amen.
So 1 hour is over?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
It gets over
Can you imagine
in 20 minutes.
what the big boys have also done?
I'm very proud of myself. When you understand about partnership in politics, it's like the way marriage is these days. When you're looking for a wife, you're like, oh, you know, maybe you can help me pay for fees as I pay for the rent.
Why should you have a lioness living in your bedroom? I have to tell you a story. I went for a prayer meeting, which was called for the spouses of candidates for senators and governors. And when I got to the gate, the lady who was the secretary, she refused to. She's telling me, no. Leo tunataka wa mama. Leo ni wa mama. I'm telling her, no. She said, no, sio siku yenu. And I thought, there's a problem here, you know, because if it was a man, but this was a lady.
It will be called First Ladies until you change the name.
If a lion shows you its teeth, it doesn't mean it likes you.
It doesn't mean it likes you. It won't start.
A liar calls as witness one who is either dead or far away. Say it in Kiswahili.
Ben low, nin inte, nin der, ayu markati kadikta. You know this character called liar. He has disturbed people. So when you tell him, who are your witnesses, he will take you to a place where it is difficult to verify.
For someone like me who sweats a lot, I cannot survive there. You know, sweating is biblical. Good. And he must blame it on Adam, not me. You know, because Adam messed up and he was told, now you fellow you, by the sweat of your brow, thou shalt eat.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Good morning and welcome to the start of a new week. What's happening on the roads this morning? We'll take a quick look at that. Start off on the Thika Superhighway where not much is going on right now. Just at the Pangani underpass, we're starting to see the signs of what could be a busy Monday morning. From Outer Ring to the Thika Superhighway, that also looks pretty good. Also looking at Cabanas towards North Airport Road, touching on Outer Ring as well. And it seems to be flowing because we don't have any hold-ups here, at least not for now. Coming off of Waiyaki Way, it's also flowing freely. Not too much of an issue as you come in on Gong Road either, out into the CBD. All right, parts of Limuru Road we know will clog up today because of the construction that continues. But it looks like we're starting off Monday just right. Let's keep it just so. We'll talk on SpiceFM KE on X. Hashtag The Situation Room.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latif, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
We are halfway through the month of February, and just like that, tunasonga kusonga. Senor, how are you?
I'm a little bit confused this morning.
You are?
Yeah.
Okay. Why?
I don't know. Can't put a finger on it.
Because you slept late.
No, beyond that. Something's nagging at me. Don't know what it is yet.
It's that feeling. You get that feeling. Yeah? That feeling.
Yeah.
Poleni.
How? Yeah, man.
Nigeria.
So that match was. Look, I've got to be honest and eat humble pie and say that the Ivorians played a superior
They came
match.
out.
They played a very good. They played a much better match. I mean, from the very beginning.
Hey, as in
They played football. They did.
they finally played AFCON on the final day
On the
of
final
AFCON.
day. Yeah.
After all
They
those.
left everything for.
Jesus.
Yeah, but they left it on the pitch, man. They did they played a very, very good match. Well-deserved win, I must admit. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Eagles are left to fly another day.
Oh yes.
Yep.
But it was a beautiful game.
Yes.
It was a good game.
Yeah.
When it came to 1-1, it was now, it's anybody's match. And that was a good one. That was a very good one. Other than that, how was the closing ceremony? I missed it.
I didn't watch it.
Did they show it anywhere?
I don't know. Such things are so packed with advertising and rights and sponsorships and blah, blah. But anyway, I didn't watch it, so I don't know.
So I didn't watch it. I've just seen on social media that Usher has brought the house down.
And he's not being paid
The
for the Super Bowl halftime show.
Yeah.
But he did the thing. I hear he did the business. As did Arsenal yesterday.
That's normal.
It's not news, eh? Sorry. It was a sporting weekend. It was great.
It was a good thing, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
But then it's a bad thing that's happened overnight as well.
Very, very bad thing again in the world of sport.
Surely.
Very, very sad. And maybe that's what's nagging at me.
Probably, man.
We're just wrapped around with so much death.
Probably.
And I feel very bad about it.
World marathon record holder Kelvin Kiptum and his coach died last night in a road accident along the Eldoret Kaptagat Road. As in, that was a sad one. That was a very, very, very sad one.
Yeah.
His world record was confirmed earlier in the week after smashing it in Chicago. Then IAAF going through all those motions. In fact, I was asking the sports guys earlier, why are they taking so long to confirm it? If he had broken it at the World Championships, well, then I was told, the doping, you've got to test there's sample A, sample B, or the wind conditions, this and the other, no, hey. Then it was confirmed. So he was basically the fastest man in the marathon. And then, just the end of that week, he's dead. And he's died on the spot.
Yeah.
Very many questions come out, are you, please, what are you saying? How exactly did this happen?
It's very hard to wrap my head around such things.
This is a sad one.
Yeah.
This is one of those where you're wondering. And the Standard Digital on social media has even images of what happened at Standard Kenya on Twitter. If you look at that, the mangled wreck of that vehicle, the wreckage of the car involved in an accident that killed 24-year-old marathon world record holder Kelvin Kiptum and his coach Gervais Hakizamana along the Eldoret Ravine Highway at 11:17 p.m. The vehicle veered off the road, hit a tree, and I think it rolled several times. Just looking at the images, that vehicle rolled several times, and it's horrible. It's horrible. It's really, really sad. Yeah. City, how are you?
Very well, thank you. Yes.
Pia sisi tuko sawa. Well, tuko sawa kabisa. You had a good weekend?
I did.
And
how about yourself? Did you have a good weekend?
I did.
And you do? Did you have a good weekend?
It was all right, yeah.
It was all right, huh?
Yeah.
It'll go all right.
It was.
Are you okay, City?
Yes.
Huh?
Yes.
Okay.
I am.
All right. We believe you. Everybody, good morning and welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation. It's the 12th day of February 2024. we get on to the show. What shall we be discussing today? Several things. Let's start with 7 a.m. We'll be joined by the Acting County Secretary and the Chief Officer for Urban Development and Planning in Nairobi City County, Patrick Canalo. Okay. We had a conversation here with Cherotich Sei the other day, and we've seen also many conversations that are taking place on social media with regards to urban planning and development. Mushrooming of constructions left, right and center, these things following any sort of plan. We saw the disaster in Embakasi. What's happening? We want to talk to this man because he is the chief officer in charge of urban development and planning, restoring sanity in Nairobi County. We want to understand, okay, what's happening? What's the county up to? At 8 o'clock, we'll be joined by Engineer James Mwangi. He is the CEO of Current Technologies Limited. He's also a registered consulting engineer. And we'll be talking about LPG malpractices in Kenya. Who's to blame? We see all these things, illegal LPG refilling stations. They're so illegal that you wonder, so where do they get the cylinders from? They steal these cylinders from the market. Branded cylinders, come and refill, and then you buy. So you go and buying a branded cylinder. You're thinking that you're buying Total Gas, and therefore it has met the master. Kumbe, a thing is not 13 kilos. It's most likely less.
Absolutely. Bad gas.
Yeah. What is happening? So Engineer Mwangi will be with us to talk to us about that. And then at 9 a.m., we talk to a resident of Kajiado County. There are some residents of Kajiado County, specifically from Mungata Rongai, led by community advocacy group leader Otieno Ongaro, who are not happy with the county government of Kajiado because the county government of Kajiado is charging all these taxes and levies, and not commensurate service is coming to the people, saying, wapi sewage, wapi barabara, wapi maji, wapi soko, taka left, right and center. What's wrong with this? And they're saying no. They are planning to file a petition in court to compel the county government of Kajiado to offer service commensurate with the tax that they are collecting. 19 minutes after 6, we are live streaming the show as usual on YouTube and Facebook. If you're online, let us hear from you. Tell us where you're tuned in from and say hello. Good morning.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Conditions in Nairobi this morning at 17. We'll see highs of 27. We'll see highs of 28 in a partly cloudy in Nakuru at 14, and it's 14 and cloudy in Nyeri with highs of 27 and lows of 13. Into a partly cloudy Eldoret at 14. We'll see highs of 26 and lows of 13. While Mombasa is cloudy at 26, it'll go to highs of 33. Malindi will see highs of 32. It's partly cloudy at 27. And we're looking into a mostly clear Kisumu at 18 with highs of 30. Kakamega is 17 and clear. We'll see highs of 31 through Monday. Out into a cloudy Kampala at 19. We'll see highs of 28 and lows of 19. While Dar es Salaam is cloudy at 27. We'll see highs of 32. Johannesburg is cloudy at 15 with highs of 27, while at 25 it's partly sunny already in Mogadishu with highs of 32. The haze over Lagos skies continues at 27 with highs of 34, and we'll see highs of 23 in a mostly cloudy Addis Ababa at 11. It's partly cloudy at 24 in Kinshasa, highs of 33. And we're looking into a sunny Beijing Monday afternoon at 6 degrees, highs of 11 and lows of -2. Paris is cloudy at 5 with highs of 10, while London at 5 is cloudy with highs of 11. New York is cloudy Sunday night at 7 degrees. Coming into Monday, we'll see highs of 10 and lows of 2.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right.
Haya, watu ni wengi wako online.
Good morning, Team Pili Pili kwa umbali. That's what Jimmy is saying this morning. Well, good morning to you too.
Kafili kwa umbali.
Something like that. Agri Mawanyi says, good morning, Ndu, and all the Nigerian fans. Soldiers never die. They live to fight another day, indeed. Richard Makiadi says, good morning, big team. Tuned in from the US of A. Hope you have a splendid day. Thanks, man. Good morning to you. Dev is tuned in from Yala this morning. Wishing you all a fruitful week. Good morning, Wapendwa. Monica Oile says, good morning. Baldhead is what he calls himself. Says, good morning, Kenyanese peeps. Toti Bishop says, top of the morning, tune in also, and is watching the Super Bowl 58 and is obviously rooting for the 49ers. Evans Ntabo says, good morning to you all. Hey, Kiswahili now is going to bother me. Asiyekubali kushindwa sio mushindani wali jaribu sana. Okay. Understood. Sindio.
Very good.
Mugere Kirara is tuned in this morning from New Jersey and the Pennsylvania plantation at the same time. Zeke says, good morning, good people of the Situation Room. Good morning, Zeke. Lovely to have you here. Stella says, Saseni, and is followed by a heart. Good morning to you. Alex, good morning. You are very proud of Ivory Coast. Yes. Chris Adede says, good morning, tuned in from Utawala, Cote d'Ivoire, the champions of Africa. We're now enjoying peace. Marco Pio says, good morning from Homa Bay. Josephat Moirori says, good morning. Ole says, good morning. A drizzling Dubai is where Sabit Yusuf is. He says, when it rains in Dubai, schools and some government offices close. So today, no work in some places. Wishing you a good day. As in rain drizzle, or like rain tempest and thunderstorms? What are we talking about here? Robert Mbogo is tuning from Mombasa. Robinson Kisero is also tuned in from Hong Kong. And he says it's a sunny morning heading into noon. JJ Eric says, good morning, Wakere in Nandi. Huh? You're in North Kivu. Where are you exactly? It says, greetings to Spice. Pray for peace in my country. Okay, well, there you are. You're in North Kivu. Oh, the north of Kivu. All right. Good morning to you. Indeed, peace shall reign. Frederick Oremo, Ndu, sorry for what happened to your country. Nothing happened to my country. They lost the match.
Oh, yeah.
We're fine.
Yeah.
Ameo Antonio Diambo says, commiserations to Ndu. Okay. But we know the whole of Africa is happy that Nigeria lost. Where is the hate coming from? My goodness. Jeez. The Ivorian team was excellent. Yes, it was. It played a very good match. Good morning, Eric C. Ndu. Have a blessed week ahead, listening from Nairobi. And Gore says, Chamge, my beautiful people, tuned in from the beautiful hills of Saboti, Trans Nzoia, Kitale, Nawapenda Sana. Good morning to you, Anne. Great to have you. We see you all checking in this morning. Karibuni Sana. Good morning.
Indeed. Siti, where are we going to this week? Angola.
Angola, Msumbiji.
It immediately comes to mind.
What is that?
Angola, Msumbiji.
That's Angola.
It's a ragtag militia, right?
Yes,
is it a
ragtag militia.
It's a vigilante group that calls itself Angola Msumbiji, basically criminal organization.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Msumbiji is Mozambique.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So they call themselves Angola Mozambique.
I got it.
You do know that this country got its independence from Portugal in 1975? Many years. 12 years after we had gotten ours.
And then what did they do?
Well, one of the things that happened in that country, at first, the first president was a gentleman called Agustino Neto. Okay? Communisti. 100% communisti. And of course, over time, things changed. But this is what happened with many countries that had been colonized. The idea was to move as far as you possibly can from the administrative posture that your colonizers had. Yes. And communism seemed to offer a welcoming bosom for you to sort of like nestle your head on. Yes. And of course, with time that changed. Right. I'll be telling you about the sort of government they have. I'll be telling you about their capital. I'll be telling you about the multiple membership that it has. I'll be telling you about the number of neighbors it has. But for now, I'll tell you that it's the 7th largest country in Africa.
7th largest country in Africa.
Yes.
Okay.
7th. Right. Right. 1 spoon of soup in need has more value than a pot of soup when we have an abundance of food.
1 spoon of soup
in need has more value than a pot of soup when we have an abundance of food.
Yeah. Okay. I see that.
It matters more. You value it more.
A spoon better than pot. Yes.
Okay.
Because you get the impression that for that pot to exist, there must be plenty.
Very good. Very good. Headlines?
On the front page of The Standard this morning, tough choices in the face of a crisis. Tomorrow, Parliament returns from its December recess to a defining moment. The courts have said the reconstitution of IEBC must not wait for political horse trading. House to debate the National Dialogue Report, even as Azimio leader Raila Odinga has said opposition must be involved in the selection of commissioners or they resume demonstrations. It's a Solomonic moment for Speaker Moses Wetangula. There are different things that people have said. We'll go through that later. Varsity is real from the cost of losing court cases. 3 years, public universities have lost billions on the corridors of justice after judges ruled in favour of litigants. KRA hits yet another firm with a 1.1 billion shilling fine in tax arrears, bill in tax arrears. Okay. Shock at another brutal murder of a woman in a hotel. This took place in Naivasha.
Ouch.
Yeah. It's a hard one to see. Panic in Goma, and this is what I believe JJ Eric was talking about this morning as M23 advance. So just looking at what's going on with the conflicts that are rising in RDC, it doesn't look good right now, but just look at that in a minute. On the front page of The Nation, inside fight for control of 435 billion shillings. And you ask, what is it? The Education Ministry and unions have ganged up against the Teacher Service Commission. The battle lines are drawn between the warring factions under the Cabinet Secretary Ezekiel Mashogu and TSC boss Nancy Macharia. And it's a fierce scramble for a huge education budget. I have so many things to say, but it might sound a woman's gone. So let me just hold that for now. Ex-police boss and Uhuru's many missed calls at Bomas. Retired senior police officer Kingori Mwangi, who died yesterday, was a man of many firsts and controversies. His role at the Bomas of Kenya during the 2013 presidential election and tenure as regional police chief, were dramatic. Kenya Kwanzaa, Azimio camps in fresh IEBC war. Okay. Murder. News tightens on a man wanted in the US. Police are closing in on a fugitive, Kelvin Kiptum, who strolled out of Muthaiga police station last Tuesday. His phone signal has traced him to Machakos. This Machakos where they find everybody who's escaped. I really wonder. Okay, looking at some of the tickers. Grief as school bus crushes pupils to death.
Ouch.
Oh my God.
Ow.
Ahmed Musa, the silent master running the show in the Super Eagles camp. Yeah, that was interesting to see as well. On the back page of The Nation today, looking at sports again and looking at the rise, the steady rise of Côte d'Ivoire in the name of super striker Hala.
Okay. In the Business Daily, shilling stages 10-day rally against top EAC currencies. The Kenyan shilling is ending its long, dismal run after turning the tables against its regional peers last week on the back of marginal gains against major world currencies, raising hope that the turmoil in the foreign exchange market is ebbing. Second-hand car prices rise by up to 600,000 shillings. The cost of not new, second-hand cars has shot up by up to 600,000 shillings in the last 4 months, according to fresh data. Where industry data shows that the prices of second-hand cars manufactured between 2016 and 2017 have jumped significantly, pointing to rising cost of ordering the units from abroad that has cut expenditure on motor vehicle imports by double digits for the second year in a row. So, for example, a Land Cruiser V8 was previously going for 12 million. It's now going for 12.5 million. A Toyota Harrier 3.8 million is now 4 million. Mercedes C-Class 3.8 to 4.5 million. Mazda Demio Petro 1.25 to 1.4 million.
All because of?
Mambo mingi.
If cars cost that much, what do houses cost now?
Where?
A Mazda Demio is 1.4 million. Honda Fit.
Demio is that teeny weeny little car, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yep.
Now it looks like a graduated Matchbox.
Yep. Most of the taxis are Demios or Mazda Fits. The Mazda Fit is 1.6 million.
Okay, sorry.
A graduated what?
I don't think I'm going to be able to forget that ever.
Well, it does look like a Matchbox with curves, but...
Sheesh.
Ticker headlines. 2.75% shift deductions to start from the 1st of March.
Okay.
Okay, are you ready? Record 621 billion shilling defaults push banks into rare profit fall. Guy, banks are going to really suffer. Guy, because loan defaults rose by 133.6 billion shillings in the last financial year, which ended December, sinking the banking sector into a rare profit drop. CEOs signal higher pay for employees in looming talent wars. The talent management and reward strategy is now the top priority for Kenyan CEOs, laying the ground for talent wars that will likely lead to improved wages and terms for employees this year. You're a good employee. The company wants to retain you. They pay you top dollar or top pound. City?
Yes, please.
The star.
The sitar.
Yes.
Top right hand corner in teal green. Right. Brilliant. Controversial. Kingori Mwangi, combative cop, dies at 62 after short illness. This is a story on page 2. Yes. In his time, Kingori Mwangi made many headlines. Many. So when it was referred to as controversial, it is with good reason.
Yeah.
Yes. Right. Anxiety rocks cabinet ahead of appraisal meeting. The president is set to set a second retreat with CSs and top government officials next week. So this is what we are being told is causing anxiety. Why on earth would it cause anxiety?
Because people don't know whether they're going to come out of there with
But it's appraisal. You've been told, even in advance,
that
you are going to be appraised.
Yeah.
So, you find out what the appraisal is about, and then you prepare. You've been given time.
And then?
See, and then you go. This time, just don't go with your driver and tell other people.
Like you did last time.
Like you did last time. Just go yourself.
Alone.
In fact, better still drive yourself. Okay. Probe on women. This one I don't like. Woman's throat slit in shabby Naivasha lodging. Kwani, this is what exactly? Expenditure queried. Lawmakers probe Uhuru era 592 shilling spending. Yani, not pending, spending.
Spent.
Yes, the MPs are probing
92 billion.
592 billion spent under Article 223, meaning we spend now because it's emergency, then we explain later. You know that one? I like this article. During the Jubilee administration, National Assembly Public Accounts Committee last week, but I thought they were in recess.
They are returning tomorrow.
Okay. Last week received a brief from the Office of the Auditor General on the withdrawals and spending, meaning under this Article 223, they withdrew a lot of money. A lot of money.
Please say it one more time for good measure.
A lot of money. Right. Bang in the middle of the paper. Right.
Okay.
Fresh blood. Politburo's mandate to develop new strategies. Raila 2027 bid. New faces in as old guard sits out. Old guard sit out. Old guard is sitting out. Former PM is expanding his political network, set for countrywide tours. In the picture, there are all these ODM luminaries. Abdul Swamad Nasir, Mombasa governor, Opiyo Andai minority leader, Babu Owino, Embakasi East MP, Amina Nyanzi, Malindi MP, Edwin Sifuna, Nairobi senator, Stuart Madzayo, Kilifi senator, Fatuma Mohammed, Migori MP, John Mbadi, ODM chairman. Some of these faces are not new, they're old. Some of these guys have been there for some time. But however, that is the headline.
Okay. Let's take a break. Tell us about traffic, Ndu.
Sure. All right, and there it is, in not too long. Heavy traffic on the Thika Superhighway. It's coming in hot from well beyond Tusker Village. We're looking at coming in all the way from Githurai, Clay City, through towards the Pangani Underpass. Heavy traffic. Your service lanes are working from what we are seeing, but you're going to get to the place where it's going to be a hold-up, and looks like it'll be there for some time. So if coming off Thika Superhighway, one to watch for. Kangunda Road is also starting to pack up quite some. Outer Ring, not too busy now, but what we are seeing coming in from Cabanas and then through towards North Airport Road will pack up Outer Ring at the junction and heading out towards the Thika Superhighway. Coming off Ngong Road is also starting to look pretty busy right about now, and Limuru Road we know will be busy at some point, but if you're on it now, you'll be fine. If you're not yet to be, now would be the time to be before we get into traffic hour. Kiambu Road is also starting to pack up as well as you get towards Muthaiga Square. Everybody into the city this morning, keeping an eye on things. How about you let us know where you should or should not go, where you should honk or not. Let's talk. SpiceFM, KE on X, hashtag #TheSituationRoom.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Story. There's 435 billion shillings, and there are folks who are fighting for it. I don't know what they're fighting for, why they're fighting for it, because where they're supposed to put it, they've not put it to the last 1 year. Anyway, let's look into the story. Contentious issues over this money that's being fought for. So there's two sides. The Education Ministry and unions in the left corner, in the blue corner, how do they normally call it like that? In the red corner, the Teacher Service Commission. These are the issues that they're going to blow over. Ministry wants to supervise school managers spending billions. 365,000 teachers have not exclusively answerable to the commission. There's a tussle over 1.3 billion shillings training of CBC teachers. Who's going to handle this money? Commission sidestepped the ministry to draft the bill. Ministry said it can never be us. Bill undermines proposals by the Presidential Task Force. The question is, who will submit the proposed law to Cabinet? And TSC demands powerful regional and county offices. All of these things are on the table in terms of the fight. And it doesn't look like it's going to be a pretty one. The question is, who is going to leave their guts on the floor? All right, so inside this particular battle, the details of the infighting that's been sparked by a bid to amend the Teacher Service Commission Act is going on. Last week, the TSC called a meeting to discuss the proposals made in the TSC Amendment Act 2024. Ministry officials snubbed the event despite having been invited. In the letter, the Ministry of Education had been invited as a stakeholder, something that was not well received at Jogo House. What do you mean? How do you invite us as a stakeholder to something? We run this show, my friend. We're not just a stakeholder. So, I mean, come on. Why should we come? So, they didn't what? They did not come. They didn't
go.
Okay, they didn't go. The Kenya National Union of Teachers also gave the event a wide berth, but the Kenya Union of Post-Primary Education Teachers, KUPPET, and the Kenya Union of Special Needs Education Teachers attended. Senior ministry officials have criticized the bill, saying it is in bad faith and it is intended to counter recommendations of the Presidential Working Party on Education Reforms on changes in basic education, which could strip some of the TSC's powers and transfer them to the Ministry of Education, and they're not having it. Officials now argue that if passed, TSC Amendment 2024 would make the TSC more powerful, negating the Presidential Working Party proposals that sought to balance power and influence between the TSC and the Ministry of Education.
Balance power?
Yeah. and redistribute some functions, which in effect would reallocate finances. Now, that last line is the thing, okay?
So we are saying that before the Presidential Working Party report, there was a lot of money and control that was in the hands of the TSC.
In the hands of the ministry.
Now of the TSC, that now they've brought it back to the ministry to balance.
So,
and that's why the TSC is fighting.
The TSC is fighting it, and now in the amendment, beyond the power that they had prior to the Presidential Working Party recommendations, they want to even increase it more and say, you know what, we cannot be a commission like this, and we have no say over what's happening with our teachers at the county level.
What power is it that the TSC had?
Can I tell you the points of diversion so you can see here? According to the TSC, they want 365,000 teachers directly answerable to them. The Ministry of Education says, well, teachers work for the ministry, so they should supervise them.
Teachers work for the ministry?
Yes, according to the Ministry of Education.
Okay.
Number 2, the allocation of 316.7 billion shillings. The ministry says they are the owner and financier of schools. When capitation is released from National Treasury, they are the ones who then put it into the system and let it go. Establishment of regional and county offices and functions similar to that of the Ministry of Education, where you have education officers, etc., etc.
TSC also
quasi power that they had, but now they're looking to establish it without question. The ministry says, well, right now the regional and county offices are poorly funded. So how are we going to get you guys sitting in there? They're looking at the independent management of teachers as a TSC. The Ministry of Education says, well, we want consultation over teachers' deployments and transfers. Talk to us first. Don't just do it by yourself. Training and capacity building, according to the TSC, is what is needed. The ministry says, training and capacity is a building function, which is ours. We will offer training and capacity. It does not rest with you. Triggered independent amendment process. We want this, and we want to be able to do it on our own. The ministry says amendments should go through a ministerial committee, which sits where? At Jogo House. Now, contents of amendment bill are just proposals. They said, we're just proposing. Come and let us have a chat. The ministry says, we want head teachers and principal to act as its agents and to answer to it. We let the head teachers who are involved in this whole thing that you're discussing and the principals, let them act on it. We are not going to be involved.
You know, for the longest time, beyond posting teachers, the TSC didn't really have any other function, as far as I'm concerned. When it came to inspection, when it came to determining promotions, it was not the TSC, it was always the ministry. Now, this has come into the open, and it's calling perhaps for a clearer demarcation of the roles that these two entities have. Now, when you have such a fight, who then becomes the referee?
This is a question.
The Katiba.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, there's the teacher in the middle of all this. And even as this debate is raging on, does the life of the teacher become better? The services that they're supposed to offer the students, does it improve?
Is the crux of the matter actually addressed when it comes to education in this country? With all of this thing that we're seeing back and forth.
And really, what is the crux of the matter? Because essentially, this seems to be a struggle for power.
It's a struggle for power, but then what happens on the underbelly of all of this? Is education being delivered in this country in a seamless, quantitative and qualitative manner that is acceptable across board? If none of these parties can answer this question, they should not give us this nonsense back and forth.
Or is this what they're entertaining us with, to take our minds
away from the fact that they're failing at their job?
Because this CBC thing is clearly in a spot of bother, wouldn't you say?
Yep.
So
it's dead cat for me.
Yes,
you're having a conversation about things that don't matter right now. And that you could actually sit in one morning over a cup of coffee, really strong one, and you could be sorted by lunchtime. Could be sorted out real quick. But you want to take our attention off of it.
This week, it's still bang in the middle.
Come on.
Really, why on earth are we giving it that sort of headline?
Because it's a big thing.
This thing is being made big. Is it really big?
It has an impact on the quality at the end of the day.
This, I don't think so.
Because if it's about control.
Yes, it's about control.
And because of this control, then the person who has control basically is removing checks and balances. If it's the TSC, they want all the control minus checks and balances. If it's a ministry, they want all control without checks and balances. It affects quality at the end of the day.
It affects quality of a situation where the quality is already low.
Yep. So it doesn't improve it. And I'm sitting somewhere and thinking, okay, see, the TSC is a constitutional commission. So it's been established under law.
Yes, it is.
Just follow the law and see what does the law say. What was the idea of having a TSC? Why do we have the Teacher Service Commission? Why does the ministry not hire people directly? Why does the Public Service Commission not hire teachers? There's a reason why teachers are hired by a specific commission called the Teacher Service Commission.
Set by law.
Yeah. If we have a Police Service Commission, a Teacher Service Commission, a Public Service Commission, there must be a reason.
There's a very good reason why those commissions were set up.
Yeah.
And they were not set up yesterday. No.
If the Police Service Commission, it's the same kind of thing that we've seen with the National Police Service Commission and the clawing back of the functions and powers of the National Police Service Commission by Harambee House. So where you see that the Ministry of Interior wants to have a say on the hiring, the deployment, the transfers, the promotion of police officers. That's not why the Police Service Commission was created.
No, it wasn't. There was an understanding that it was important for the services offered by this cadre of individuals within our country be managed by a separate body that would focus on managing the affairs. There was that understanding, and there's a good reason why. Because ministries, for instance, don't employ people. The Public Service Commission does that for them.
Yes.
You look at the county governments, they also have bodies that are supposed to do precisely that. I mean, the people who put this in the constitution were not silly or stupid.
Let me tell you what the CS, quickly as I wrap this up, says. When he was on a phone call with the nation, he said, look, when he was asked about what's going on between your ministry and the TSC and all this blah, blah, he says, I am the head of the entire education sector. I don't want to be distracted by sideshows. We're focused on implementing the recommendations of the Presidential Working Party on education reforms. We have an advisory committee in place overseeing all the amendments. So let's deal with that. Somebody in his ministry said what? This amendment is dead on arrival.
Remember, Machogus took a while to amend that report before it was presented. They spent some time in Kabete, at the School of Government, looking at that report back and forth, nothing coming out. Maybe that's when he was editing it, so the recommendations of the report would be exactly what they're reading now.
Somebody in his own ministry said, Yo Kitu.
We are not amending.
But even as you've read what is supposedly being attributed to the PS.
CS.
Yes, this is something we've heard many times before from politicians, no less, that they don't want to be distracted from enforcing the mandate of their office. They will not be sidetracked by sideshows. Man, matters pertaining to education, there's nothing here that is a sideshow. Because at the heart of this are teachers, and at the heart of this, the heart of hearts, they're students.
Yep.
These fellows can't even figure out how to sort out CBC, and then now they are regaling us with this. Now this is all this. Both these entities are the sideshows in this thing. They've had all the time in the world to have sorted out CBC. Has it been sorted out?
Nope.
We are even more confused than when we started. You know, we're still debating whether it should be in secondary school, it should be in primary school. Surely now.
Oh, there's a new story. Now they're talking about that. Where did I see it? Hold on. Hold that thought. Are you holding it?
Hold on.
With both hands.
Is it in both hands? Quick one. I've seen a story here where principals want grade 9 moved to secondary schools. Secondary school principals are urging the state to allow the first lot of grade 9 students transfer to secondary school instead of being hosted in junior schools that have inadequate infrastructure. Next year, the CBC will be seeing the first grade 9 class hosted alongside JSS, which exists within primary school. However, the Kenya Secondary School Heads Association is concerned about the lack of preparedness, saying the existing primary schools where the Presidential Working Group on Education Reforms proposed the learners to study are not conducive due to inadequate teachers, classrooms and labs. So they say, those primary schools, mulikuwa na standard 7, standard 8, grade 7, grade 8. Mulikuwa na standard 9. Hamna room ya grade 9. Can you just bring those kids here? We have 4 classes. We have 3 years. We have an extra classroom. Bring the children. Another conversation has started there.
Oh, it most certainly has begun. It most certainly has.
Another conversation.
And as we continue talking, what happened?
Children are not learning.
Yes. And the welfare of the teachers is not being attended to.
Children are not learning. That's the sad part. I wanted to read the story. I closed it when I was looking for this one. It's the story of the pupil who was reportedly crushed by a school bus.
So the nation.
When Mercy Nalima said goodbye to her son on Friday morning last week, little did she know that it would be the last time that she'd see him alive. Liam Kipruto, described by the family yesterday as a happy and very active boy, died exactly 9 hours later after he left their Katani home in Machakos. According to the mother, the Goodrich International School pupil was run over by the school bus and no one was willing to give details of what transpired until yesterday when the head teacher reached out in a text message. The school is located in Mavoko, Machakos County. It has branches in Kileleshwa, Embakasi, Nairobi. On the fateful day, Nelima had left her mobile phone charging in the house and spent most of the day with her sister. In the evening, she became concerned, however, when she did not receive a call from the school informing her that the son had been dropped off at home. Realizing that it was getting late, Nelima asked the sister to call the school. Liam's class teacher told Nelima's sister that the student had already left the school as usual and he could be home already. Moments later, the class teacher called my sister's phone number and insisted that he wanted to talk to me. When I was given the phone, he told me my son had been involved in an accident and that I should go to the scene immediately. She found the driver standing in front of the bus and asked him where her son was. He pointed behind the vehicle. The first thing I saw was my son's school bag before I saw something covered with a piece of cloth. That's when I realized my son had died. As this was happening, the headmaster, Mr. Peter Otieno Awino, arrived at the scene with police officers and they decided that the body should be taken to Shalom Hospital mortuary a few kilometers away. The school's management was not willing to tell us what really happened and instead told us that the police had taken over the investigation and were the right people to tell us what happened. On Saturday, the family hired a private pathologist who conducted a post-mortem exam on the body and concluded that the boy died of a severe head injury. His left arm was broken, his leg injured, but the pathologist said that the head injury was what caused my son's death. Yesterday, the family took the body of the boy, who joined Goodrich International just a month ago, to Wasingishu for burial. It is a very, very sad and tragic story.
It's horrible.
Horrible. And it's not the first time a story like this has actually come up. When a kid jumps out of the bus and then the driver of the bus is reversing, doesn't see, knocks the boy.
It's horrible.
It's a very, very...
It's very strange. Over the years, I've observed when you have school buses dropping children, say in an estate, there's always somebody who gets off that vehicle first.
The attendant.
Always.
Yeah.
And the driver doesn't move before that person in front. And you see them actually walk into the bus or the back of the vehicle, and then they tell, meaning the whole thing is monitored. And when they're very young children, you'll find there's someone else who actually takes those children right to where they're supposed to be.
Yep.
So it's actually well planned and very well organized.
Yep.
Now, how this would happen, this is now tragedy.
Yep.
Yes.
This is where those things don't happen. So those things you're saying.
And they have not been happening for a while.
Obviously, and
now the consequences have come home.
There you go. they've not happened for a while, and such a thing didn't happen, so they felt it was
The assistant
okay.
opens the door.
And shovels the kids out.
Umefika Liam. Liam jumps off of the vehicle.
That's it.
Liam walks away. And then the driver now
reverses. And well, Liam probably is.
Oh my God.
Very, very sad story. Tell us that one of Naivasha, because it's also bizarre, isn't it?
No, this one is disturbing. It's very, very disturbing. Residents of Naivasha are shaken by the weekend murder of a woman whose throat was slit with a knife. The identity of the killer was not known, but a phone belonging to him or the victim was found. A knife believed to have been used in the murder was found. The body was found on Sunday in a dingy lodging in the town center. This is not pleasant. Increasing cases of femicide have caused an uproar in Kenya and other African countries. Kenya set up a task force to investigate and curb the killings. Naivasha OCPD Stephen Kirui said the woman and a man checked into the lodging along Kariuki Chutara Road hours before the body was discovered. He said workers in the morning found the room unlocked and found the body in bed in the sheet soaked in blood. From initial investigations, the victim was not sexually abused, but the killer used a sharp knife to slit her throat before escaping. Kirui said investigating officers were going through the mobile phone found at the murder scene. The killing came barely a week after the body of a pregnant woman who had been strangled to death was found dumped along Moi South Road in the town. That is Naivasha. A week after the killing, the body is still in Naivasha Sub-County Hospital. Mortuary yet to be identified. Police have collected her fingerprints for identification.
The pregnant woman?
Yes.
She's not been identified?
No, she hasn't been.
And now this other one, initial investigations are showing that there was no intercourse.
Nope. But her throat had been slit and she had died.
What's happening, man?
What the hell is going on?
This is no longer perchance. I mean, this it's too.
What's going on?
There's too much of it. I mean, I don't.
And is women being killed?
So a pregnant woman was murdered. An unknown pregnant woman.
Yes.
Then this one is woman check into a lodging. Woman found dead.
Yes.
Throat slit.
Yes.
This is clear premeditated murder. It's not at either one you can say, oh, maybe there was an altercation, there was an accident, hit, head, nothing like that. This is...
Yes, and remember this story, we did read this story last week, the Moi South Lake Road. And yes. Now these are cases that have been reported. What about cases that have not been reported?
Yep. There are many more cases that have not been reported. What's going on? Police need to set up something.
Yeah.
You need to find out what exactly is happening in this country. Kenya's biggest conversation continues. In the next hour, we speak to the acting county secretary, who is the chief officer in charge of planning in this city, and ask him, plan? What plan? Hey.
What's your plan then?
Yeah? Is there a plan? Good morning, it's 7 a.m.
Spice up your life.
Good morning, this is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. Marathon world record holder Kelvin Kiptum is dead. According to police, Kiptum and his Rwandese coach Gervais Hakizimana died on the spot Sunday night in an accident along the Eldoret-Kaptagat Road. This comes just less than a week after the World Athletics ratified his marathon world record. He said Kiptum was driving the vehicle heading to Eldoret when the accident occurred. The third occupant was rushed to hospital with serious injuries. Our Eldoret reporter Elvis Koskei with the latest.
Thank you very much. You're coming to you from Flux area. This is in Chepkorio in the county of Elgeyo Marakwet, where athletics enthusiasts and Kenyans in general are mourning this evening. This follows the death of Kelvin Kiptum Cheriot, a Kenyan long-distance runner and the marathon world record holder. He's the only person in history to run the marathon under the 2 hours and 1 minute in a record-eligible race. And I'm now joined by the OCPD just to paint a picture of what has happened. Kindly, Bwana OCPD, asante kwa kujiunga nasi. Kindly tell Kenyans ni nini haswa imefanyika inamhusisha mwanariadha wa bingwa wa upeo wa kimataifa.
Thank you so much again. My name is Abdullahi Dair, OCPD KO South, Elgeyo Marakwet County. The evening of Sunday, towards the end of the Sunday, the late evening, we got an accident along Ravine Eldoret Road. The occupant of the said vehicle were 3. One believed to be Kelvin Kiptum, Chicago world record holder, and then Gerevius Hakiba, Rwandese national, believed to be the coach of the late Kelvin Kiptum. And then the third person was a lady Sharon Kiptum, who is still survive.
Kiptum became the first man to ever run a marathon in under 2.01 as he ran 2 hours, 0.35 seconds in winning the Chicago Marathon last October. The world record has been most recently ratified by World Athletics. Now, as the National Assembly is expected to resume its sittings tomorrow, Speaker of the National Assembly, Moses Wetangula, now says the recommendations of the NADCO report will be given priority. He stated that Parliament will debate the affordable housing bill after it's been tabled by the Finance Committee Chair, Kimani Kuria.
Bunge itafunguliwa siku ya Jumanne wiki ijayo. The tray is full. Tuko na mambo ya NADCO, ile kamati ya uwiano ya Bomas, ripoti yao iko bunge. Tuko na supplementary inakuja, tuko na bill ya housing, tuko na budget season inaanza. Kwa hivyo na wasihi wa bunge, msikose kuja bunge kila siku bunge ikiketi, ili tusukume agenda ya kubadilisha nchi yetu.
Wetangula has also urged leaders in Trans Nzoia County to desist from fighting as it interferes with service delivery and development.
Hamisi na Simiyu na seneta wetu na mama county, mshikirikiane na gavana wenu kwa sababu kura itakuwa 2027. Sasa ni kuchapa kazi. Mchape kazi, mubadilishe sura ya Trans Nzoia. Mpeane wananchi maji, mpeane wananchi nafasi ya kujisaidia kina mama. Hizi masoko zinajengwa kila mahali, Trans Nzoia pia itajengwa. Hiyo ikifanyika wananchi watafurahi. Lakini viongozi wakilumbana kila wakati, tunaumiza wananchi wa kawaida.
He also called on communities living in the county to live in harmony.
Kama jamii zinazoishi hapo, ukiwa Mpokot, ukiwa Muluya, ukiwa Mkalenjin, ukiwa Mkikuyu, Mjaluo nini, be happy and be proud to be a citizen and a resident of Trans Nzoia. Sisi tutachangia kuwaleta pamoja ili tuone mambo inaenda sawa.
His sentiments have been supported by Governor George Natembeya, who gave an assurance of bringing all the communities in the county together.
Hii kaunti yetu ni cosmopolitan. In fact, hakuna kaunti nyingine Kenya hii, labda Nairobi, ambayo iko cosmopolitan kama Trans Nzoia. Na tuseme kwamba labda jamii iko na watu 10 ama 20, kila jamii ambayo iko hapa iko na watu wengi. Hata wale Wahindi wako hapa ni wengi. Kwa hivyo it's properly cosmopolitan, na ningependa kushukuru sana wakazi wetu wa Trans Nzoia kwa kukaa kwa amani, kwa kupendana. Ile ushenzi ya vita sisi tulitoka huko. Tunataka kujenga county ambayo watu wengine hata ambao wanazozana wanakuja hapa kufanya benchmarking. Ile kazi ambayo tumekuja kufanya hapa leo, kujenga hekalu, ni kazi ya muhimu sana.
This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Oseto. Good morning.
SpiceFM, Nakuru.
All right, what's the state of things at a few minutes after 7 o'clock? Where are we honking horns this morning? It seems that we're doing most of that on the Thika Superhighway today. Heavy traffic all the way from the Outer Ring Junction and way beyond that, coming in from the Kenyatta University Junction, heading out towards Githurai, and then through towards the Pangani underpass, all the way through. So you're going to have constant traffic on the Thika Superhighway this morning. Watching out for that. Kiambu Road also doing the thing, coming in from, I don't know which gate of Karura now, but quite a number in terms of lanes. Limuru Road is busy, and as coming towards the Uhuru Highway, from Westlands, from the CBD out in this direction, it's also slowed down a bit. Langata Road is threatening to do the business as well. Also coming off Gong Road, there's some traffic today. Gong Road recently has been doing the thing, So some traffic there as well. All to watch out for. Let's talk on SpiceFM KE on X. Hashtag The Situation Room.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latif, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down.
7 up
This
to 7
is
on the second of the Situation Room. Thank you very much for tuning in this morning. We are live on KTN Home as well, and live on SpiceFM, live on YouTube, live on Facebook, and our studio has been decorated. 12th of February, the 14th is coming.
Yes, it is. The 14th is only 2 days away. Have you bought your burgundy and gold dress? Have you bought your burgundy shirt? If you haven't, now it's time to do it. Do it because Valentine's is coming. Where is your boyfriend?
What is the burgundy on this? These flowers. Is there anything that's burgundy there?
You look at that
the closest
flower.
thing is the
Go touch it.
I go touch that.
The burgundy.
The flower, the closest to it.
Yes.
Hey.
See, that's one you were thinking about, right?
Yes. Because it's not quite maroon. It's like a rich red.
That's it, exactly. Yeah. So why are we asking everybody to dress in burgundy? Because the Elegance in Love concert, why do I keep calling it a concert? The Elegance in Love cocktail dinner is happening on the 14th of February. This is the way to show your love. How deep is your love? Things like this. Come out to Sarit, your city, 6 p.m. Wahoo and Nameless were here on Friday. Come and tell everybody how, we will be there on Wednesday. And indeed, they will crooning some of those great ballads that you want to listen to as you're enjoying this great dinner that's been put aside for you. Ticketsasa.com. Get on there, buy your tickets. You still have some time to do so. If you're going to go alone, 3,000 shillings. If you're going to go with somebody, 5,000 shillings. If you're going to do it especially with somebody, it's 10,000 shillings. A welcome drink for everybody, a fantastic 3-course meal, gifts, and also a bottle of bubbly on the table for those who spend the 10,000 bob, and a night of great music, entertainment, fantastic food with the one you love, or at least the one you say you love. On that day, it's going to be great. Do it this Wednesday at Sarit, your city.
So again, alone, 2,000?
3,000.
3,000.
Yes.
Alone with somebody?
5,500.
Alone with somebody?
10,000.
Alone with somebody, that is alone with somebody special.
Yeah, that's the 10,000 is alone with somebody special. Oui, monsieur.
If you're alone with just somebody, it's 5,000.
Yeah. So somebody's asking if your sweater is not burgundy. Actually, it's close. It really is very close.
I thought you were going to point at my sweater, actually.
Oh, that's what you were waiting for. Oh, I'm sorry.
Then when you didn't, I was like, okay, so this one must be brown.
No, actually, it actually is.
It's not brown.
It actually is.
And it's also not maroon.
It's not maroon either.
It's close to burgundy. So me, I'm sorted.
You're good.
So all I need
If
now
you-
is
you
the
just-
somebody.
You just need the somebody.
Okay. And the money.
Before start with the money first.
Are you doing somebody alone with somebody or alone with somebody special?
That's what I'm wondering.
That's okay. You need to figure that out.
So alone with somebody special.
Alone with somebody is 5K.
Okay.
Alone with somebody special is 10,000.
10,000.
Alone,
Yeah,
lying to yourself.
Yourself and you.
So me, if I'm like this, then the somebody can be in the gold thing. I don't have to do this and then add gold.
In fact.
Oh, I have gold.
You see, that is it. You're good to go.
Sure.
You're good to
Burgundy
gold.
and gold.
Yeah.
To go sorted. Yeah. Hey. Okay. That is ticketsasa.com. Make sure you do it. So EcoBank, the only finance partner of the AFCON, has delivered, right? The Africa Cup of Nations. Basically, it was a good spectacle.
It was. It was a
Splendid.
great tournament over the last few weeks. And the only financial partner on that sponsor board was EcoBank, bringing African nations together in two ways. Number one, your seamless banking transactions, 35 African countries and 4 outside the continent of Africa, where we are seeing that, all your financial issues, your banking issues sorted out, and you can do this wherever you are on the continent. You would not miss where to bank with EcoBank. Truly the Pan-African bank. And also throwing their weight behind a spectacular Africa Cup of Nations tournament that took place with the host nations coming out as champions. It was a great tournament, and EcoBank showing its Pan-Africanism in that as well. A better you, a better me, a better Africa.
Indeed, indeed. Again, the world is mourning this day as the 24-year-old marathon world record holder Kelvin Kiptum died in a road accident last night that also claimed the life of his Rwandan coach Gervais Hazimana. According to Elgeyo Marakwet County Police, the Chicago Marathon champion was driving back home from Eldoret when his car veered off the road and hit a tree at Flux Junction in Kaptagat along the Eldoret Ravine Highway. KO South Sub-County Police Commander Abdullahi Dahir said Kiptum and his coach died on the spot as a result of the impact. There was a woman in the back seat. She sustained injuries and is receiving treatment in Eldoret. Investigations into the exact cause of the Sunday 11 p.m. crash are ongoing. This man, his record had just been confirmed last week by World Athletics IAAF. What he broke, he smashed in Chicago, and he was basically destined for big and bigger things later. All our sincere condolences to the family, the friends, those who worked and trained closely with this great champion of the Republic, Kelvin Kiptum. Our guest is on the way. He is the acting county secretary and the chief officer in charge of urban development and planning in the Nairobi City County Government, Patrick Analo. We'll be talking about restoring sanity in the city. He's stuck in traffic. What does that say about urban
planning for
urban
the city?
development and planning for the city?
Poetic justice.
Isn't it just?
What does it say? Okay. Very many things that we're seeing happening in this city in terms of developments. And Cherotitse has been raising this issue here. And many others, not just her, and many others. There's a lawyer called Alfred Dambiri as well, who's been on this case. There have been many estate associations and neighborhoods who've basically been raising this issue. In South Sea, I remember just a couple of weeks ago, I think 2 weeks ago or so, and there were neighbors residents of a neighborhood association who were saying KMA estate in South Sea. And they were talking about new development that's coming up that just doesn't appear to be planned, and it's affecting their own structures. You see this is in South Sea. You see in Parklands, some development that's coming up that even appears to be enjoying protection from police officers. Raptor Road in Westlands, Kilimani, Kileleshwa, go into Eastlands, into Embakasi pipeline, kind of everywhere. What is happening in this city? And then, do we have the proper infrastructure that goes with this development? Definitely, the population of Nairobi is rising.
That's true.
And it is going to rise, tremendously. More than half of Kenya's population will be living in urban areas in another 25 to 30 years. A majority of them will be obviously be in Nairobi.
This is the thing, that if there was a plan, and we talk about a plan as though it were just for the city, but we're also talking about the effect that the plan would have on the city, and the reason then why you have closet towns or dormitory towns of the city. It is to reduce the pressure that obviously will come. And so you started to see things like Ruiru, you started to see places like Kitengela, you started to see Athi River, you started to see Syokimau, you started to see Kiserian and Ongata Rongai started to come up because the pressure on the city was too much. Much to the chagrin of the people who remained in the city was that you started to now increase within the city even after the establishment of dormitory towns. So you have to ask yourself the question, is the almighty shilling enough then to hand over to a department or an individual, whatever the case may be, over and above the plan which you know is necessary when it comes to other things concerning infrastructure, water, sewage, or even just sanity? When it comes to those things, then who is making sure that these things actually happen? A few months ago, just last year, what did we see with the building in the Peponi area of Nairobi? The earth cannot take it anymore, and so the building begins to collapse untouched because of construction that's taking place just adjacent to that. So there's so many things that are under threat here. Infrastructure is under threat. Life is under threat. And even just being able to operate in an atmosphere, in an ecosystem whereby things work, then becomes more and more difficult. And it makes us have to ask the question this morning, as we have been asking for a couple of days and weeks, what is the plan? If there was a plan, has it been followed too strictly? And where has then been the shirking of responsibility when it comes to actually following it? Because it is not a good state of things at all.
Urban development and planning requires that, we have a master plan, and this master plan is a living document that it keeps looking at what's happening, all right? If we're talking about just the amenities, the basics, you need water, you need a sewer system that works, okay? Then you need roads that can accommodate this kind of population. On top of that, then you need recreational facilities, you need health facilities, you need schools. With these developments, is there, corresponding development of these facilities? And you'd hear, okay, there's a lot that happened, in the World Bank funded program on urban development and renewals. Did it expand the water reticulation system? Did it expand the sewer system? Did it not? Has it expanded the road network and infrastructure in these areas? Has it expanded the schools in the area? So you're seeing more and more schools coming up, but are the public schools actually enough? If you just think about the schools that we've had, like in Kawangware in Dagoretti North, where one classroom hosts more than 150 children, and this is just grade 7. We have big issues to discuss.
There are major things, and unfortunately, I think what we've been met with time and time again is a blanketed, response to all of these things. But I think it then has to be met with the seriousness that we're actually facing today. That there's a possibility that some of these things that are being erected around the city could actually collapse, number one. Number two is that you're compromising on the general well-being of an area when you do this. And then number three, you're also looking at a situation whereby you depress where this is how cities are built, and this is how countries essentially develop, because you realize that we cannot put everything in this one space. How about we move it and make sure that those places where this other infrastructure is being taken are actually developed and developed properly? Those things are not happening. The issue of bribery and corruption when it comes to then being able to give an amount of money for him or her to approve your building, a problem. Should it be in that space? No. Should it be in that space where it goes beyond the required levels? 3 to 4 is what it is in most of these cases. We're having 18, 20. Should it be? It should not be. But it goes ahead and it's done anyway. And we said that, and then people said, well, it's just an elite thing. Well, it's not. Because it doesn't matter where you go. go to Pipeline, go to South Sea, go to Kitengela, go to Syokimau, go to Riverside, go to Westlands, go to Parklands. Wherever you go, it is happening. What does that tell you? That there's wanton corruption, there's wanton mismanagement, and it's now become the order of the day. Usually what happens is that a disaster happens, and then people are going to start asking questions. Who is the person who authorized these things? Where are you? And we throw them in jail for 24 hours and bring them before court the next day.
The ordinances that determine what we're discussing are in place.
That's the more painful thing.
They never actually went anywhere. And that's why we can refer to these ordinances as being disregarded completely. I mean, for example, it is a requirement that when you put up a building with more than 4 stories, you have to have a lift.
Yes, you do.
Simple.
Yeah.
Go to the eastern part of this town and see the number of stories that people have built. 0 lift.
Altering here.
0.
Yeah.
Somehow somebody built it and somebody managed to get whatever requirements, whatever authorization you need for building it. There's a term that is used when you're looking at how and where to build and what to build. It's called zoning. Okay? I am of the view that one of the things that is probably being done, if it hasn't already been done, is to rezone Nairobi. When you rezone it, then you will allow for things that previously could not be allowed. There are places where you, for instance, you are not allowed to own more than an acre. You change that rule a little bit, you can then chop up the land into smaller bits. Now, when you chop it up into smaller bits, then again, the ordinances require that you build only up to a certain point. You change that rule again, then people are then allowed to build flats, where previously there were no flats. Now, it's like, I think the effect is what I would refer to as snowballing, meaning it starts off as something small and then it morphs into bigger, and it just keeps rolling. So you actually find that the processes of building and everything around it has now gone to the dogs completely. There's no telling what is which and where and how. Anyone can build anything anywhere. Now, these organizations that have been brought up by some, they have become strong and more vocal because of these problems in very many of the areas that people live in. It's because they understand some of these and they say, but wait a moment, how is it that this is happening? And yet, according to the rule book, because they are rule books, this is what is supposed to be happening. And now, it is a fight. The truth of the matter is this, so long as there are people who are willing to bribe county officials, especially those who are in charge of these various departments, and these people are willing to accept the bribes, these things will continue. And so long as the law enforcement and the people who are supposed to enforce the laws are also willing to be bribed, because it isn't that they don't know, then we will keep having this discussion. There'll be some tokenism. Every once in a while somebody makes a statement, and then an even taller building than the one which you saw comes up again. And you are right. We will wait for a monumental disaster to occur, and then this discussion will be had all over again. Who was responsible? And the people who are never touched, the contractor is looked for, the developer is looked for, the officials within the county government, and I'm talking about the county government of Nairobi, who authorize these things are never touched. You don't even hear them being mentioned.
No, they are never asked questions, and they are never brought before the gallows like everybody else, and they actually should be. Because we know for a fact that without the authorization that comes from county government, you cannot go ahead with your development. We know that. That's why they've been set up. That's why they're there.
And that's how it is possible for these people to receive bribes, because they will harass the living daylights out of you if you don't get authorization from them. Now, authorization isn't meeting the requirements that you probably already have done, but the requirements of ensuring that you've lined their pockets, that seems to be what is necessary and what is required. So we have disaster in the making. And it's growing day by day by day by day by day. And yet, the growth of the city was always envisioned. It was even planned for. Not 2 years in advance, 50. Okay? So it isn't as though there are people who can't think or plan. Now, I have to ask the question, these people who are planners and who belong to the Association of Planners and the Architects, what on earth are they doing?
For crying out loud.
They are the ones who should tell us. They are the ones who should be up in arms because they know this. Why are they so quiet? Why is it that they don't speak out loudly and talk about these things? Why don't they go out and ensure that those of us who are simpletons and don't understand these complicated things, actually understand what's going on? They'll talk on YouTube. They will talk on social media platforms. For heaven's sake, talk louder so that we understand. Or are we saying that they talk just loud enough to give the impression that they're talking, and yet they're part and parcel of this whole mess?
Oh, I think they've actually realized that they know they're part and parcel of the mess, number one. Number two, the thing has gotten out of hand, and they do not know how to then address it. Because the ones that you've seen are the ones that you've seen. I'm sure there are approvals that have already been given out for things that have not started to come up yet.
I'm sure.
And that things have gotten so out of control that they do not know how to deal with it. The likelihood of them coming out and talking about it now then is very slim. You know, because things are actually, look guys, things are actually not good at all.
You know, things don't get out of control in a day, do they?
No, it's over time. It's over time. It's been cemented. And it has happened for so long, over time, that people who have given approvals, by the way, and this is one of the things about governments, isn't it? That the people who give approvals 10 years ago are most likely still in that office today. They're still there right now, still giving.
This National Construction Authority, what do they do?
They oversight the contractors and engineers and all.
Do they now?
And the quality.
Do they now?
Okay, so according to their
They're
job
supposed to do
description,
this.
They're supposed to do what he said.
You see, among very many things happen, all right? So you create an institution just so that you are reacting to something, and then you do not go ahead and fund that institution sufficiently. How many NCA inspectors do you have would be able to be going around? What's the role of the NCA inspector? What's the role of the county inspector? Because you see county inspectorate people. If you are doing a construction, you'll be told that every day, if it's not a Kanjo guy who will come, there will be somebody from where. All of them are coming and wanting to see things. All these regulatory bodies will pass by there at one point or the other. Are they working in harmony? They are not. We seem to be making moves forward and then clawing backwards. At one point, remember, Moi Kibaki created a ministry and called it the Nairobi Metropolitan Area.
He did.
Right? And this was in thinking that Nairobi is growing. The Nairobi city is not just Nairobi city. There are very many people who spend their day in Nairobi, but they don't sleep in what is currently considered as Nairobi. So let's expand it. There was even the creation of the Nairobi Metropolitan Transport Authority, NEMATA.
Yes,
right?
there was.
And all those things we're looking at, Nairobi is not just what we know as Nairobi. Nairobi is expanding.
And its environs.
And in a very few years, you will see Nairobi going beyond Kajiado town, Nairobi going beyond Machakos town. Nairobi has already gone beyond Thika town. Nairobi is beyond Kiambu. Nairobi is heading towards Mai Mahiu.
It is.
Nairobi is past Ngong. All that is Nairobi. Those are counties of Kajiado, county of Murang'a, Kiambu, Machakos, Kajiado. You'll even go into the other side and you'll go into the counties.
You're going to get in the Rift Valley.
Yeah. You touch Nyandaro at some point,
yes, you do.
And that is part of Nairobi Metropolitan. Now, are we thinking broadly in those terms? Because if we are not thinking broadly in those terms, we are not helping. The people who are building now in Katani should be part of the master plan that is the future of Nairobi. We should be thinking 2050. How is this capital going to be looking like? How many people are going to be in the capital? When you start talking about mass transport system, we should be thinking of mass transport system. Many people will be coming to Nairobi from beyond Machakos, beyond what we call Kapiti Plains. Many people will be coming from Konza to Nairobi. Many will be coming from beyond Kajiado to Nairobi. When you're thinking about mass transport, it's not just increasing a lane on Uhuru Highway and thinking that we are sorting out our mass transport system.
No.
You know, as you say it, Eric, I had this picture in my mind and I was seeing it. Westlands, once upon a time was a suburb.
Imagine, it was very far.
It was a suburb. It's now part of the CBD.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Literally.
Yes.
You could live in Westlands and never come to the CBD for the rest of your life. You actually have no need to. But it doesn't just apply to Westlands. You think of all the areas that are around the city and how they've grown. They've more or less just joined the CBD in one way or the other.
Yes.
So it's the sprawling nature of the city is visible, and we can see it on a daily basis.
What do you think about housing development, for example, Miga?
Yes.
In Kiambu.
That's in
How
Kiambu.
far Miga is from the CBD, right?
Yes.
But that is part of Nairobi.
It is Nairobi.
For all intents and purposes.
It is Nairobi.
Tatu City and all are part of Nairobi. In fact, forget Tatu City. Thika Greens,
yes,
which is beyond Thika, it's in Murang'a County. It's part of Nairobi. For all intents and purposes.
It is.
We shall go all the way to Makuyu Teachers Training School.
College, yes.
We go all the way to Konza City.
And yet...
Atwoli lives in Nairobi. And we all see where Atwoli lives, beyond Kajiado.
Yes.
And if we're not even dealing with this thinking beyond what's happening, we've got to take a break. Our guest, he has told us he's stuck in traffic.
His plan did not work so well this morning.
Yeah, now this traffic excuse has got to end in this country. That's not traffic.
Because the moment we had the expressway, the traffic issue along this road came to an abrupt halt.
Yeah, let's take a break. It's 29 minutes to 8. Kenya's biggest conversation, taking a Keringet break. Why do we call it a Keringet break, City?
Because this particular moment is sponsored by Keringet. And you know why? Keringet is not just water. It's not just mineral water. It's not just still water. It is the very thing that makes you tick as a human being. Because water comprises what? 60-70% of the human body. All right? And water has minerals. And these minerals and others are found in Keringet water, spring water, mineral water. And why are they important? They're important because all these minerals ensure that your body functions well. Each and every part of your human body, that is, of course, if you're human, needs these minerals to function properly. And when you drink the water, you're drinking in these minerals that give you the wealth of life that you need. And that is why we're telling you that drink Keringet, enjoy Keringet.
And own your richness.
And own your richness.
Back shortly. Good morning.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Across Africa, a new era has begun, connecting us with one purpose: to create and share opportunities to grow. Across our continent, across the world, we are creating a better way to a better future. A Pan-African future. Together. EcoBank. A better way. A better Africa.
Oh, finally! It's my Standard Courier delivery.
At Standard Courier, we know that your time is valuable. That's why we guarantee swift and efficient deliveries to your doorstep every time. Give us a call on 0793 599 684 or schedule your next delivery by visiting our website www.standardmedia.co.ke/courier. Trust Standard Courier service for all your courier needs. We deliver with pride.
If a lion shows you its teeth, it doesn't mean it likes you.
It doesn't mean it likes you. It won't start. A liar calls as witness one who is either dead or far away. Say it in Kiswahili.
Ben low, nin inte, nin there, ayu markati kadikta. You know this character called liar. He has disturbed people. So when you tell him, who are your witnesses, he will take you to a place where it is difficult to verify.
For someone like me who sweats a lot, I cannot survive there. Sweating is biblical. And you must blame it on Adam, not me. Because Adam messed up and he was told, now you fellow you, by the sweat of your brow, thou shalt eat.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
It's It's partly sunny in Nairobi at 15. We'll see highs of 26. 28 will be the high in a mostly sunny Nakuru. And we'll see highs of 26 in a mostly sunny Nyeri. It is sunny at 14 in Eldoret with highs of 26, while Mombasa is cloudy at 26. It'll go to highs of 33. 29 will be the high in a mostly sunny Kisumu. And at 16, Kakamega is sunny, going to highs of 31. Kampala is cloudy at 18 with highs of 28, while going to highs of 32. It's sunny in Dar es Salaam at 27. In a mostly cloudy Johannesburg at 16, we'll see highs of 27, while Mogadishu is 26 and sunny. It'll go to highs of 32. 22 will be the high in a mostly cloudy Addis Ababa at 11. At 27, it's clear in Lagos with highs of 34, while in Kinshasa, it's clear at 24, going to highs of 33.
Spice up your life.
It's busy this morning all over the city. We're looking at traffic coming in heavy from the Thika Superhighway to be expected. Coming in now, I think it's from the Arroyo bypass. As you get in through and go all the way through towards Githurai, it starts to slow down as you then get into bumper-to-bumper traffic from Garden City through to the Pangani underpass. So that's what's going on there. It's going to take you some time. Also on Kiambu Road, busy. We're looking at Limuru Road as you keep going west onto Spring Valley and then towards Parkland Road and then Wayaki Way. So all of that is doing the business. Let's also look at traffic coming in heavy on Langata Road. It's going to spill towards Raila Odinga Way. And then also traffic coming in towards Uhuru Highway is busy here and there. We're going to keep an eye on things. Let's talk on SpiceFM. KE on X, hashtag #TheSituationRoom.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Continues. Well, the acting county secretary is not here. And clearly it's not traffic. Something else. Patrick Analo was our guest. Acting County Secretary and Chief Officer in charge of Urban Development and Planning in the Nairobi City County Government. Just 2 weeks ago, there was a story in the news. The Nairobi County Secretary, Patrick Analo, is among 10 individuals who have been ordered to personally appear in court over contempt of court claims. The others include, who were scheduled to appear on the 19th of February, are Stephen Mwangi, Richard Mumo, Freddy Kochanda, Stella Nyamu, the Secretary Sustainable Development Solutions Limited, and Ali Ibrahim. Others include Yusuf Asker, the Director of Amei Homes, Salim Kamora, who's an architect, Wilson Lepartobiko, an engineer, and Bura Koch. Environment and Land Court Judge Justice Oscar Angote made the ruling in a case filed by Alfred Ndamiri and Titus Kitonga. On June 14th last year, the two had moved to court asking the 10 to attend court and show cause why they should not be personally found and held guilty for not obeying court orders, because in May last year, the Environment and Land Court had ordered the development of residential houses along Taza Lane, located in Parklands, be stopped. But it didn't happen. In the ruling read by Justice Angote in the presence of lawyers representing more than 10 parties, the judge said the court is satisfied the applicant's petition was filed in 2022. The court has established a prima facie case against the respondents, and so on and so forth. Many cases that people are taking to court as resident associations, as groups petitioning and asking what's happening in our urban development.
Eric, do you hear any association of developers taking anybody to court? Do you hear any of association of architects taking anybody to court?
Or engineers?
Do you hear planners? them? Do you hear them taking anybody to court? They are the ones
they're facilitating.
Yes, because if you ask me, they understand this subject better than all of us, and they are the ones who'd be able to mount the sort of argument that you need and that can be sustained in court. But now ordinary citizens have decided they're also pushing the agenda. Why? Because those who could push the agenda on our behalf are clearly not pushing it. And all these buildings have some form of planner. They have a QS. They have an architect. They have engineers. They do. the assortment of engineers they do. So what is it? They're protecting their own, even if they see that there's something that they need to talk about. Or this one of these situations where you prefer to talk to yourselves and to talk to each other and mumble and complain when you're in a pub somewhere or in a collection of buddies, sorting out these intellectual ideas about the filth and the guilt and the problems that this country has because of the corruption that we are enduring.
And the leadership that we get. I like the angle that you've taken, CT, because where are the professional associations? Where are they? Where are the architects, the Architectural Association of Kenya?
Engineers.
Where are the engineers? Yeah, the Engineers Association. Where are the planners? Where are they? When all these things are happening, why are they happening? Being aided, being facilitated by these professionals. Because as far as when you go to any of these properties, you'll actually find a board there that shows you this is the architect, this is the engineer, this is the electrical engineer, this all those.
Yes, they're all there.
For the lack of explanation or action that hits you in the face every time, I think you guess, you don't have to guess about what the real situation is. You don't have to guess or think, okay, maybe actually, they're putting things together or things are coming. No, you don't have to. You don't have to guess about what the real situation is. And I dare say that the real situation is folks are in over their heads. Folks have made decisions time and time and time again that has put this city into problems, and that they're not willing or able or competent at this point to then be able to reverse the wheel and to say, let's take a few steps back and see what we've actually put ourselves into. And unfortunately, and I hate to be the doomsday sayer, but this is it, that we are staring down a disaster. And until and unless it is, number one, nipped in the bud, and that these things are unraveled and sorted out, that unfortunately more tears than anything are in the offing. And that is the truth. Imagine a situation whereby things change as they are with the way the earth is, the way we are looking at it. And imagine a situation where an earthquake, not even very high on the scale, would hit Nairobi today. What would happen? The other day there was a fire in what many would say was an explosion, in what many would say is in a part of the city that was not too close to anywhere else, but it was in a congested area. And look at the disaster, look at the loss, look at the injury that we saw of close to 500 people in a couple of hours. And that's why I keep saying that it goes beyond just a brick and mortar issue. It goes to manners, behavior, impunity. That we can go ahead and do things knowing very, very well that it will not last, number one. That it is against a plan that has been come about with the application of expertise. And we choose not to follow it. Not that we didn't have a choice. We choose not to follow it for the temporal satisfaction that money brings. And then we put the lives, we put the infrastructure, we put so much more at risk every time a signature is given because money has been given. Because you cannot tell me anything else. I'm sorry. You cannot tell me that any other process has taken place when somebody knows very well that this thing should not come up here, but that you allow for it to go on. What has happened? Money has changed hands.
And we have lessons. We have lessons from other big cities on what happened to them. Some of those cities had to burn to the ground to come back up. And the reason why they were burning to the ground is because of all these things that had happened in their construction. When Paris was burning to the ground, it's because it was just chaotic.
The thing that we're witnessing here is what had happened.
Yes.
People are just doing their thing as willy-nilly as they saw fit.
It had to be replanned from the ground up.
That's a very expensive undertaking,
Cost of humans, property lost, and all those things. All these major cities, the kind of development that we are seeing in Nairobi, and when I say Nairobi, again, I don't just mean what we know as Nairobi as the metropolitan area.
And its environs.
All those things that we are seeing, developments happening in Kitengela, in Syokimau, in Rongai, in just name it. All of them. Because there's a lack of some plan somewhere. Or there's a plan, but there's a disregard for that plan.
Let me tell you.
And yet there's a county government that is collecting levies and taxes on a daily basis. There's a national government that's collecting all these on a daily basis and creating a target of billions.
You know, I was looking at buildings that have been brought down across the world and the offenses that enable those buildings to be brought down by the authorities. A building put up in the wrong place. Meaning, this is the plot, but according to the plan, it was supposed to be left of the northeast side. You put it west of the northeast side. Another one is pulled down because it was bigger than was originally planned. Structurally, there's nothing wrong with the building. Nothing. But this is not what you plan to build. You put in more than you're supposed to. Look at the number of houses or buildings that people have in this city, and even some of the more affluent areas, where people built right up to the wall. So you and your neighbor can actually have a little chit-chat. Now, building ordinances don't allow you to do that. There must be some spaces.
No.
And the reason why people in these places do not disobey the law, because you know that building is going to be put down at your cost. And then you'll be taken to court.
But I also think beyond that, CT, beyond the fear of, because I think people learn, well, one would hope that people learn lessons after a disaster has happened, one, or after somebody has asked you, or you're going to bring it down. CT,
or you've paid a steep price.
Exactly, you've paid a steep price. So the element of lesson learning comes in. Beyond that, there is also the realization that your actions plug into a system. And that if you don't do the right thing, you are part of this whole domino effect that then approaches and affects everybody else. And that there's the realization that you must do your part in order for this big picture to come through. I think there is an inherent realization of that in these places where you're talking about it making sense. But here we don't realize our responsibility and the importance of the piece that fits into the bigger puzzle. The worst part for me is that we have a realization of it. We realize that, okay, my contribution or my job, my approval, my awareness fits into the bigger puzzle, but we say, oh, well, oh, hell be damned. Let it do whatever it needs to do.
Yeah.
For me, that's the worst part.
Yeah.
That you realize what you're supposed to do. You understand the way it fits into the rest of this puzzle. But you say, it doesn't matter. I'm going to do whatever I need to do to make sure that I get ahead. For me, that's the worst part.
You know, this getting ahead that we speak of, Ndu, when you consider, I've heard people using this excuse that, but you know, we are only 60 years old from independence.
We'll be fine. We'll still develop.
You know, some of these countries you speak of have been independent for a long time. Well, yes, that may very well be true because it is true. However, remember, the opportunity we have is something they didn't have. We have examples.
Exactly.
We know the mistakes not to make because others have made them before us. Those fellows did what they did at the time they did because there was nothing else to look for. There was no example to set. So in reality, because of what we have before us, we ought to have built better communities, better societies, because the opportunity to learn and the opportunity to set things straight from the very onset was something that we had. And if you're talking about missed opportunities, that is the opportunity we missed.
Absolutely.
And we keep missing. Because this idea of ensuring that you and a few of your cronies are the ones who steal as much as you can from the country, instead of understanding that when that wealth is plowed into the citizenry, within the citizenry, and that economy grows, there is a lot more for everybody. And part of what these other nations learned and what they implemented was they made sure that what you may refer to as public service and the things that benefit the citizenry exists. Schooling you can take for granted. Water you can take for granted. It exists. The things that we battle and fight around here, they ensure it exists. So what you'll be worrying about are other things other than the basics. Here, my friend, we are still worried about the most fundamental of things. And yet, at the other extreme, we have people who are living what one may refer to as the life of those in the first world. Now, this disparity is a problem. And it's a problem that some of these nations also faced because they followed the same route with disastrous results. Now, why is it that our people don't seem to see that the consequences of the things that are being done are not unknown to man, they are known. And they're not things that are secret, there's nothing secret about them, and that they're obvious. There can't be a situation where there are very few people with so much.
You know what I think it is? They're bedeviled by this false notion that disaster will not happen in their lifetime.
Yes. And that, if they've gotten away with it this far, they'll continue getting away. That thought, you didn't preempt it, neither did you invent it. Others before you who disaster befell had thought exactly the same way. That's why they continued doing the same thing that they were doing. Instead of putting a halt to it, it is the pain and suffering that those who were in a position of authority had to face. That made people realize, you know something, we need to do this thing differently. The opportunity was always there. It just wasn't taken.
You know, a disaster is unfolding. The disaster does not have to be a fire or a building collapsing or any of those things. The fact that children don't have a place to play, the fact that you do not have a health facility near you, the fact that your children cannot walk to school and back home, the fact that you have to use a water bowser whose source you are not aware of, the fact that you constantly have to think about your sewer and you know that can smell, hii sewer haikutengenezwa last week, it keeps bursting. All those things, that's disaster.
Yes, it is disaster.
That is disaster.
Before you.
Your quality of life is completely affected. Your health is affected because you are living in a place where you don't get sunlight at all in your house. You're living in a place where you are constantly having to endure some bad smells because of sewer. You're living in a place where you constantly have to, buy water. You're not even sure the kind of water that you're using, whether it has E. coli and all the other impurities.
You really have no idea.
You have no idea. You're basically consuming them. You're living in a place where your children are spending 3 hours every day commuting to and from school on some bus, on some whatever other transport method. All those, because they're impacting your quality of life today. That's a disaster.
It is a disaster. It is a disaster. When you are talking about the dwelling place that people, and you talk about it as an informal settlement, these are not informal settlements really, because a settlement seems to imply that it's something that is fit for human habitation. Some of these structures that people refer to as informal settlements, they are genuinely not fit for human habitation.
They really are not.
And this is where, I remember when it rained, and we kept saying, you live in one of these structures, and then you wake up, and your house is just water. What then do you do? And this is something that you assume should be normal, and that people should accept that is their lot.
Just even as we speak here, on the realization that we've heard the reasons and explanations that folks have given over a long period of time, and say, we're only 60 years old. Same thing is said in Nigeria. We're only 63. The reason why we do not develop, and I'm not even comparing it to anybody else, and I'm saying the reason why we have not moved from this place where water is not available, because we choose not to make it, because the sewage system is not available, because we choose just not to do it, or because if you go to the dormitory towns, you have stacks and stacks of buildings next to each other, just saying, please, disaster, here I am, mark me, kind of thing. It's because we choose. It's not because the resources are not available. It's not for want of expertise of these individuals who come and lend a hand to these processes. It's not for want of any of that. It's not. It's just because we choose to. And unfortunately, unless there is an epiphany, unless there really is that Damascus moment whereby people will now be able to turn around and say, let me do the thing that I'm supposed to do and fit in this cog, our development, in terms of our development, we will not move. You cannot tell me that because we have buildings that we now say, well, I've scored a few points on the development rung. No. Or the index. No, you haven't. Because you have buildings, because you have a part of the city that you can say is affluent. No, you don't. Because you have an expressway in the middle of the city, that does not make you develop. It doesn't. The development that we're looking at here is when you actually have people living in spaces whereby it's dignified and that things are actually working. And that people do not have the threat of a building collapsing upon them every day they wake up. That's what we're talking about when we say development. It's not that you can have a building. It's that you have a city that works. It's that you have cities that work. It's that you have infrastructure that can be depended on to make sure that people live and operate in a dignified manner. And the reason why we do not have that is because people have made the decisions not to make them happen. That's the problem. It's not because there's not enough money. We've proven that there is. It's not because they're not the great minds. Countries have taken from Kenya. Countries have taken from Nigeria. Countries have taken from Ghana to operate for themselves. For goodness sake, the London Metro was designed by a Kenyan. I know what we're talking about here. So it's not for lack of expertise. The reason why we have not developed to the level where we should have by now is because we have chosen not to. Once we come to that realization, perhaps that's when you start to see the wheels moving. But for now,
you know what I've actually often marveled at when we talk about these colonizing countries in the West? There's a trait they have that you have to admire. Look at the way they welcome expertise. And look at the way we treat our expertise. If you have ability which is considered valuable, you'll be welcomed with open arms.
Very quickly.
And you'll be adequately rewarded. You will feel that you actually worth here. In this delightful and beloved continent of ours.
Yeah.
It appears that when you're gifted and you're able, it's like a curse.
You stand in the way.
You stand in the way. Yes. When you seek to do that which you know to be correct, you are standing in the way.
Yeah.
Yes. And you're someone who is not desired.
Okay. So, Mr. Patrick Analo, who is the Acting County Secretary and Chief Officer, Urban Development and Planning at Nairobi City County, has not shown up, has not made it on time. Edna tells us that he has arrived downstairs at the end of the interview time.
How convenient.
Okay. Yeah. But Cherotich Say joins us on the phone, and she's been pushing this issue of urban development for a while. Cherotich, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. So we have about a minute and a half to conclude our hour. So what's the latest that you have in terms of on the campaign that you've been waging on City Hall?
Well, what I want to say, and I'd love to come back on the show again, is to really encourage all the residents' associations that have come up en masse, in force, and coordinating and coming together to fight these construction cartels. I think it is about high time that Nairobians realize that we have to rise up and protect ourselves because this county will not defend us. The absence of Mr. Analo this morning is very indicative of the sheer contempt that is felt for Nairobians. Even though he's just arrived, that is still a sign of contempt. And you also know that Mr. Analo was found guilty of an offence, and that punishment is a jail term of 2 years or a fine of 20 million shillings. And he should no longer be holding state or leadership position under Chapter 6 of the Constitution and the Leadership and Integrity Act. So this is very clear that you have somebody coming on your show to talk about restoring sanity, and they're part of the network. And I was listening to Ndu, part of that network, and also CT saying that this would never happen, or the only reason why permissions are given or not given is a question of money that has changed hands. I'm saying allegedly because, of course, people have a right to defend themselves. But this city has gone mad, and the chaos starts at the county, and you have then construction cartels that are able to corrupt, convolute, and distort every single thing that came with correct urban planning. And there's a Nairobi Integrated Urban Development Plan 2014 to 2030. Yep. Why has it been successively sabotaged, Eric? If we follow that, all these questions that you're asking, CT, that I'm asking, that resident neighborhood associations are asking, would be answered right there, and we wouldn't violate zoning, bylaws, etc. So this is chaotic, and shame on Mr. Analo unless he had instructions from above not to show up. But this contempt has to come to an end.
Charotich, thank you very much for speaking to us. Yes, we'll invite you again soon. And you and others who are also raising this conversation. Asante sana. Keep it here for more conversations. Coming up in the next hour, we ask ourselves, so all these illegal LPG installations, who's behind them? Who should we blame? 8 a.m. Good morning.
Spice up your life.
Newswire, I'm Dennis Aseto. As the world continues to come to terms with the death of world marathon record holder Kelvin Kiptum's death, Kenyans have continued to send messages of condolences to their family and their athletics family. The unexpected death has left the athletic fraternity shaken as they were training with Kiptum, who was in the Olympic team slated to showcase what Kenyans have to offer on a global stage. Here are condolence messages from Kenyans.
Nasema tu poleni kwa Wakenya yote na watu wa Keyo South sababu tushapoteza, we lost a very great person.
It is devastating to the country and to the sporting fraternity for the loss of our brother and friend Kiptum.
A sad morning to be here to hear about the tragic accident that has happened. Personally, when I was called, I didn't believe and until I arrived here.
Just want to ask the rest of the members of the country to pray for the family of the departed heroes and that we shall have peace in our hearts.
In denial as athletes, and I can't say it is only athletes but the whole world. We have all known Kiptum as our best. We are just in this world as we are nothing. Pole, pole to everyone, pole to the family.
The family and even the whole world. And we just want to say pole to the family. We know Kiptum has did his part and he was yet even to enjoy what he had worked hard for. Kiptum, anda salama.
Nikaiona hii gari imeanguka pale chini na kulikuwa na lady alikuwa amesimama hapo, alikuwa anapiga nduru. So mimi nikasimamisha pikipiki, nikatafuta namba ya OCS, nikampigia OCS akareceive, kaniambia sawa, hatua itachukuliwa. After that kuna gari ilitangulia kufika hapa wakaniambia saidia huyu mama, nikaeka kwa pikipiki, nikapeleka hadi Savanis na nikarudi hata hapa.
This comes just less than a week after the World Athletics ratified his marathon world record. Our thoughts and prayers to the family and friends. Now, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has warned JSS teachers against sending students back home for school uniforms and desks. He warned teachers that action will be taken against them.
Tumeambia walimu na wasikie kwa sababu wengine wasikii. Sijui kama ni mama ameweka kwa masikio ama ni iko shida gani. Mambo ya JSS, mwalimu asikuze mtoto ati mambo ya uniform na mambo ya dawati. Kama mzazi hana pesa ya uniform, asome na ile ya zamani mpaka ile nyingine patikane. Na tumeambia walimu, rais amesema na nirudie nikiwa hapa Tanzania, wewe mwalimu ukifukuza mtoto wa JSS kabla afike nyumbani wewe utakuwa umetangulia.
He urged farmers to embrace the subsidized fertilizer initiative by the government, adding that the government will supply seeds ahead of the planting season. On milk prices, he said the Kenya government is addressing the same.
Mimi nataka niseme kwa mambo ya wakulima maziwa, as a government tumepanga, kulikuwa maziwa imekuwa mingi kwa sababu ya mvua nyingi, tukatoa 900 million ya kustabilize the prices. Na pale KCC ikakuwa ni 45 shillings per liter, and kuanzia the 1st of March mwaka huu itakuwa ni shilingi 50 kwa kila lita ya maziwa, na kwenda mbele tutajaribu kusukuma mpaka 60.
Kapenguria MP Samuel Moroto and his Kachiliba counterpart Titus Lote are expected to appear before the DCI today. According to Moroto, they are expected before the DCI to record statements on incitement allegations following the runaway insecurity in the North Rift region.
Leo tumeenda kanisa upande wa Sede kwanza, by Deputy President alikuja na kanisa wa Kristo na wananchi kule wasaidiana kuchenga kabisa na Mungu. Sasa niko hapa naelekea Nakuru. Kesho asubuhi na statement nimeambiwa niende na ndege ambayo hatujui ni nini. Mimi na mchumbe wa Kachelipa hata yule Ariko kutokana South nasemekana pia atakuwa na sisi. Mambo ya katarasi na kusema tutetea. Sisi tumetetea watu. Kategoria za cosmopolitan area.
Last week, Deputy Governor of West Pokot County, Robert Komole, appeared before the DCI for interrogation over similar allegations. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Asada. Good morning.
.5 SpiceFM, Kisumu.
On Jogo Road this morning, coming in through towards the Makadara train station, there is quite some traffic, and we're also looking at it heavy on the Thika Superhighway this morning. What am I talking about? All the way from Kasarani through and through. So some of that coming in from Clay City, then out towards GSU headquarters, then you get to the Outer Ring Junction, and then out towards the Pangani Underpass. It is snailing its way through to the city, and it's very slow. Coming in from Pipeline on Kiambu Road, the estate there, just before the DCI headquarters junction, there's quite some traffic here as well, and it's bumper to bumper. It's heavy. Also on the Imuru Road, very, very busy traffic here as well. The address on Wayaki Way is also very busy. We're looking at bumper to bumper traffic into the city this morning. Langata Road is packed. Okay, everywhere you look, basically. Let's play a game. Let's look for where there's no traffic this morning and talk to us on SpiceFM KE on X, hashtag #TheSituationRoom.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latin, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room.
7 minutes after 8. Good morning and welcome to the third hour of The Situation Room. This 12th day of February 2024. Our conversations continue. So, Patrick Analo, the acting county secretary and chief officer in charge of urban development and planning in Nairobi City County, like we said, he got here into the Standard Group offices just as 8 a.m. was, we were getting into 8 a.m. He's walked into the studio and profusely apologized, says he got had an emergency in the morning that has just seen him having to drive around and around and around, that he arrived and he's apologized for it to all of you. So as we give him another opportunity, he'll come. We will see what other opportunity we can give him, maybe later on this week, because the conversation is still valid and it's an important conversation. Many questions need to be asked and answered by the officers who are employed by the county government of Nairobi. The 14th of February 2024 is coming, and the Sarit Car Park C will be a very busy place.
Yes, it will, because the Elegance and Love cocktail dinner is taking place on the 14th from 6 p.m. at Sarit, your city, and calling on all those who, how deep is your love? How do you show your love? Well, this is a way to do it. Have you bought your ticket yet? You still have a chance to. www.ticketsasa.com, and you'll get 3 varieties of tickets. The regular single, the regular couple, and the VIP couple. At 3,000 shillings, 5,500 shillings, and 10,000 shillings, respectively. We want you to dress in burgundy and gold. All right.
Okay.
So come with yourself or your significant.
Not burgundy or gold.
Burgundy and gold. Combine the two.
Okay.
Tafadhali, please. All right. Wahoo and Nameless, you know who they are. They will be there crooning away some of the best love ballads and really enjoying a night of music, food, fun, a great spicy time as you celebrate love in the Elegance in Love cocktail dinner taking place on Wednesday.
All tickets are inclusive of food and drinks. Just in case you're wondering, okay, so if I pay 3,000 bob and then I have to buy my own food, no.
You'll be good.
All tickets inclusive of food and drinks. The gift for every VIP couple. Yeah? Yes, it's a big thing that will be happening here. So we continue our conversation. What we saw in Embakasi recently and then the reaction from government since then was something major. There was an explosion. Started at a gas filling plant. Turns out that the gas filling plant was illegal. Hadn't been licensed to operate, but was in operation. What is a gas filling plant? What does that mean? How do they operate? When it's illegal, how do we know that this one is legal, this one is illegal? What do those big gas tankers do in those facilities? Okay, what's the place of the gas cylinders? Where are the safety measures? All those. We are now joined by engineer James Mwangi. He's a registered consulting engineer. He is our guest for the next hour. Engineer, good morning.
Good morning, and thank
Welcome to the hot seat of the Situation Room.
Thank you very much.
Karibu sana.
Sante.
You know, as we've introduced this, we need to understand a lot of engineering. So you're on what engineer? You know, there are very many engineers.
Yes, thank you very much. So in terms of the engineering discipline, I'm actually a mechanical engineer. Registered with the Engineers Board of Kenya as a consulting engineer. That level of licensing means that you're able to run a consulting engineering firm. And these engineering consulting firms are the ones that offer services to those who want to develop facilities, design, ensure that the construction meets the standard, etc. The other thing is that I've been privileged to sit at the technical committee for many years that developed actually these LPG standards. Previously, probably 20 years ago plus, there were no petroleum facilities standards, yet the country was liberalizing the petroleum sector. And it was felt that it was important to have standards so that those who want to go into this industry, those who want to have facilities in this industry, know to what standards this facility should be. It would be difficult to assess somebody in the absence of a standard and indeed come out with a decision that is not operating well. So those standards are actually there that cover these facilities, cover cylinders, cover how you operate them, etc.
Okay. Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
Now we're going to introduce you to the show with the day's proverb, and the proverb is from CT Muga. Every week CT goes to one African country. He mines proverbs from that country, and with that, he then comes and gives us one proverb a day from that country. CT, tell us which country, tell us something about that country.
Well, our proverbs for the whole of this week come from the Republic of Angola. Angola is the 7th largest country on this continent. And the interesting thing about it is that it's bordered by not only countries, it's also bordered by a huge water body called the Atlantic Ocean. It's bordered by DRC, by Zambia. Now that, you may think, is bordered by Namibia, the country that we're in last week. Its capital is Luanda. But there's something unique about Angola. It's one of the few countries on this continent that is a member of OPEC.
They've got oil.
Plenty of it, man. They've got a great deal of it. But just to balance things, is also a member of the African Union. Just that you understand.
If you want to watch it.
Yes. There is a membership of the community of Portuguese language. It's called the Latin Union of Portuguese Languages. It belongs to that one. It's also a member of the South African Development Community, SADC. Okay. Now, we know Angola for its oil reserves, but it also has more diamonds than you can count. So it is it's a really, really very rich country.
Very rich country.
Yes.
And a former first daughter is being sought by Interpol.
Well, that seeking
it's just a small matter of somebody has money and they're wondering where did you get the money from, and they can tell. I mean, I'm the daughter of the president. How can you ask me such a question?
Yeah, there's a little detail, yes, but also aside from that, before all this searching and looking, it's very interesting. You're looking for someone and you know exactly where they are. She was touted as one of the richest women on earth. Now, for you to be that rich, and you come from Angola, again, as you said correctly, why are you asking all these many questions? And you know exactly where the wealth came from. Okay, the proverb. 1 spoon of soup in need has more value than a pot of soup when we have an abundance of food.
Say again?
1 spoon of soup in need has more value than a pot of soup when we have an abundance of food.
Engineer Mwangi, what's your interpretation of this one?
Firstly, the choice of the liquid is actually very good. Soup is nourishing, and some people think it has medicinal value. And I think the discussion here is on the quantity and at what time. Let me just say that I always look forward to good soup, and we are not short of it. So, a very good proverb, I would say.
What do you think they're saying, the Angolans, with this?
When you need, there's a time when something is probably required or needed, and even that little quantity at that particular time is more than quantities of that same product when it is in abundance and available to all. If, for example, you're in a desert and you need a glass of water, and you're sitting next to a freshwater lake where it is in abundance, and you're not even thirsty, then of course that glass in the desert means everything. It means probably your survival, etc. So that's my interpretation of that proverb.
Sheti?
The engineering, we're told, is a discipline of solutions.
Yes.
I think soup has just found a solution.
Soup has found a solution.
Yes, found a solution.
Efficiently. Engineering is about solutions efficiently, not just the most efficient route to a solution.
Yes.
Now, engineer, you've developed the LPG standards. I mean, you've sat in those meetings and in the committees that have developed this. Just let's deal with the basics. When we have cooking gas in our homes, take us through the journey that gas has taken to actually get to our home.
Good, thank you very much. And let me start by saying that the choice of the country from where you have taken this proverb has an abundance of crude oil. And there are other African countries that have crude oil, key amongst them even Nigeria. We have crude oil in our country, but perhaps it is still resting underground and has not yet been exploited. But this is such a critical resource of energy, as we know today. It is said that the energy we use in our country, probably somewhere in the region of 20%, comes from petroleum. Amongst the products that are from petroleum is obviously gas. And gas comes from that crude oil when it goes through what we call a refining process. And there are other obviously notable products that come out of that process, key amongst them what we use for vehicles, diesel, super. We have LPG. We have other products such as petrochemicals that make plastics, etc. Remembering that our country at one time actually had a refinery, but that was closed down a couple of years ago. So we are net importers of this product. So it goes through that process, it is refined, and at the top, what we call the top end of the lighter products is LPG. Now, the two key types of LPGs that we have that find their way to domestic markets or domestic consumption is either what we call propane, which is a lighter gas, or butane. And so that there is clarity of what we import in this country, there is actually a standard, again, developed by the Kenya Bureau of Standards. So we bring into this country what we call butane, which is a mixture of that butane, 80% or thereabouts, and 20% propane. Now, the importance of specifying that ratio is that it has a bearing on the kind of safety required, the kind of pressures required of the system and the containers that will be used in the storage and transportation of LPG. Mm-hmm. So it is imported and it comes into the port. It is offloaded from a vessel, a marine vessel. It goes into an import storage facility. So, and once it is there in the tanks, then these product is then put onto trucks. Some years ago, there was provision for LPG being put in rail wagons that came up the rail system, what we call the meter gauge. Of course, right now we have the standard gauge, but currently the standard gauge is not used to haul or ferry LPG. So it's mainly trucking. And once it comes into upcountry, granted that there's also consumption within Mombasa and the coastal region. Once it gets into Nairobi and upcountry, it will then be discharged into a storage tank system. And then that will then, for most of its use, end up being filled in cylinders. These cylinders are branded. They have a name against it, which is a requirement of the law. And I'll probably come back to it, why that is important. So it gets into cylinders, and then the cylinders are distributed. They are carried in vehicles, and they should actually be carried in a safe, and normally we say upright manner, all the way to where it ultimately gets retailed. That means it is sold now to the customer. And currently we have systems where people go collect, or we have systems where companies actually bring that gas to your home. And there has been known LPG now to be brought to your home, and you can actually consume as you pay. So we have that is trying to address the lower levels of our society in terms of affordability. Now, along that whole process is obviously the need for safety, and I think safety is paramount throughout. So the way that product is carried, it is handled, stored, etc., is covered not only by the standards but the legislation. And we have a key piece of legislation, which is what we call Legal Notice 100, that operationalize the LPG aspects as contained in the Petroleum Act 2019. And therefore, what we have seen is an increase in consumption. You remember recently the government actually removed VAT from LPG, all geared towards making it affordable. We are still obviously not quite up the mark in terms of per capita consumption of LPG. And that is important for us to look at and increase so that we reverse the impacts of deforestation. And also, we have a growing middle class in our country. And this is a very convenient and much cleaner process or way of actually cooking your food, stroke heating, etc. But it's mainly used for cooking. So that's what I can say. Along that line also, in order to enhance consumption of LPG and to allow the consumer, especially for the LPG cylinder market, many years ago the government came up with a policy where they standardized the valve on the cylinder. Now the intention of that was to allow the consumer to have options so that you're not tied to a particular brand per se. And in so doing, probably have efficiency and also have competitiveness, etc. Unfortunately, it also opened a window for others to get into the market in the form of them filling cylinders that belong to other brand owners. Why we have brand owners is that the cylinder actually belongs to the brand owner. Okay. And when you actually go in and buy, it's really putting a deposit for taking away that cylinder for you to go use it.
Mm-hmm. So it's not a purchase?
No.
It's like a license?
Yes.
Okay.
You
it's a
have
lease.
bought, yes, I've allowed you to go with my cylinder. You've put a deposit. Okay. When you bring it back, I will give you back your money. And that way, it's a very important mechanism in as far as ensuring then that the responsibility of the safety of that cylinder rests with the brand owner. And when these cylinders come into the filling plants, they must go through a series of checks even before you refill it. And those are important because in the absence of that, then you probably are exposing the consumer or the user to great risk. And even after the filling, it goes through another series of risks, key amongst them to check whether it is leaking. And in the event it is leaking, it is decanted. The LPG is removed and the cylinder is repaired. And lastly, with the brand owner, whether or not this cylinder has a problem, it must go through what we call revalidation at their cost. They must go and check that cylinder again in an established and recognized facility that takes these cylinders through another series of checks at least once every 8 years. And what happens is that when you go through that revalidation process, there is a date stamped on that cylinder. So if you go home today and that date has exceeded 8 years, then that cylinder is actually out of compliance in as far as the safety is concerned.
Engineer,
yes.
I smile because I'm left to wonder. These are not fantasies. They're not things that somebody suggested at some point. They're actually regulations that are meant to be followed. They are documented, and there's an agreement that folks who are entering into this business then agree that they are going to actually carry out, should they be doing the refilling and the leasing essentially of these canisters, is it not?
Yeah.
Okay. And people know this?
You know, the one thing I can say is that the legislation is very, very clear.
Okay.
It's always a question of the level of awareness. The person who opts to get into the LPG business, it is their cardinal responsibility to make sure that they understand the business that they're going into and what defines the boundaries of that business. And the question is whether people take time to understand this. And in the absence of them understanding, then we have a mechanism of enforcement. So to get into this business, you are licensed because you demonstrate through paperwork, whether it is your documentation, your designs, etc., and you want to construct, that you have the ability, capacity to do that.
Okay.
And then once you take it through the construction, somebody will come and check, does it comply? And that includes the fact that those who design are licensed and are deemed to be capable, because it is their name on the line in the event that they do it wrongly. And then during the life of that facility, there is a licensing process and a review mechanism in as far as audits. You'll hear of safety audits. You'll hear of environmental audits. So that during the life of this facility, it conforms to the requirements of the law.
But then I have to ask that. So we talk about branding, and so we see the branded canisters. We know who those are, and so that would make sense in line with what you're saying. But then over the last few years, we've seen the mushrooming of many, many unbranded canisters that people are buying and using in their homes. What essentially does this mean? I mean, they're unbranded. I mean, they come in all kinds of colors. You buy it so long as it's gas, right? In whatever measure it is that you're purchasing, you take it to your house and you go along. Does this mean then that these unbranded canisters that we're seeing have not gone through these checks or regulations that you're talking about?
Good question. Firstly, the canisters, I believe, have all got a brand. It's just that the brand may not be very recognized.
It's not the known brand.
Yes, but you'll find it has a name. And then the color is meant to easily distinguish. who this belongs to, etc. Now, your question is very, very important because the malpractice that has been reported is where a brand belonging to a certain company who has that responsibility, as I explained, is then filled by somebody who doesn't, who is not the owner of the brand or is not authorized by the brand owner. And this is where we have probably one of the biggest challenges, which then means if company A buys cylinders and brings them into the market, and by investing in that cylinder, they expected to do certain number of returns for them to be able to sell that LPG and recover their money and obviously make a profit. If that cylinder doesn't come back to them and somebody else is refilling it, then of course it's not good business. It has been reported that there is a huge percentage of the cylinders that are not actually filled by the brand owners. What does that mean? That there is no kind of guarantee that it has gone through the safety checks that I was talking about. And that the 8-year period, because nobody is meant to refill that cylinder if it has not gone through that mandatory revalidation. It then means that the user is exposed to because the person maybe has not taken responsibility in terms of safety. Number 3 is that in the event there is an incident and you have no proof to show that you actually brought this from somebody who is authorized by the brand owner or the brand owner himself, something happens, the brand owner will not take liability of that explosion, etc. So there has been, because why I brought up the issue of the standard valve is because it has made it easy. That means
it's
whichever
open market.
Yes, previously everybody had a unique valve. Then which meant that if you buy this from brand owner A, now you'll just have to go with them.
It can only go back to brand owner A to be refilled.
So his price or her price is what you'll go by. So there was no competitiveness. But this is one of the areas that we find is of concern. And let me read what the regulation says because of the seriousness of doing this. In the what we call the legal notice number 100, Schedule 5, or 5th schedule, it says refilling, trading, or rebranding of cylinders without the brand owner's consent. The penalty stroke fine is now defined in terms of not less. And it says here 10 million shillings.
So the minimum fine is 10 million shillings.
Yes. The question is, why is it then still happening if there's such a strong penalty?
Enforcement.
So we get into problems now of getting this person.
For you to find them, you've got to catch them, take them to court, prove that they are not authorized and that you found them in the illegal business, and then they're found guilty and then fined the 10.
That is the course of the law.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's take a break. 27 minutes to 9. Engineer James Mwangi is a registered consulting engineer. He's our guest this morning. He understands very many things, 10 or 20 or 40 things about the LPG business in the country. He's told us that he's been involved in drafting of regulations and also advising on laws to be made to govern the LPG business in the country. He's taking us through. So when we see all these illegal filling plants and we are told they're illegal, what does it mean? And why do we see them? Engineer, time for this break. We call this the Keringet break, and Edna is going to bring you a bottle of Keringet water. Keringet says, own your richness.
Thank
you. Do you know why they say own your richness? Because of where the water comes from. First of all, just like Angola have a lot of abundance of minerals, diamonds and oil, in Kenya we have abundance of water underground. And then we have abundance of rocks that filter that water as it comes up.
Naturally.
We have abundance of minerals naturally that get infused into this water. So when you take a bottle of Keringet, which is bottled at source, you're owning your richness.
Can't wait for it.
It's coming
forward.
It's
looking
coming
forward.
We'll be back shortly. Good morning.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Oh, Oh, finally! It's my Standard Courier delivery.
At Standard Courier, we know that your time is valuable. That's why we guarantee swift and efficient deliveries to your doorstep every time. Give us a call on 0793 599 684 or schedule your next delivery by visiting our website www.standardmedia.co.ke/courier. Trust Standard Courier service for all your courier needs. We deliver with pride.
Africa is watching. Africa is on the football stage courtesy of EcoBank. From Kenya and across 35 countries in Africa and beyond, EcoBank is connecting your financial dreams through digital integration and its robust payment platforms. Listen to The Situation Room every morning and get to understand how Africa is creating a better way, a better Africa. EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank. Sunny this morning in Nairobi. We'll see highs of 26 and we'll see highs of 28 in a sunny Nakuru at 15. It's 13 and sunny in Nyeri, going to highs of 26, and we'll see highs of 26 as well in a sunny Eldoret at 14. Mombasa's cloudy this morning at 26 and it's sunny at 26 in Malindi. Kisumu's 19 and sunny, going to highs of 29, and we'll see highs of 31 in a sunny Kakamega at 16. Out into Kampala, it's cloudy at 18 and Dar es Salaam is partly sunny at 27. Johannesburg is cloudy at 16 and we'll see sunny conditions at 26 in Mogadishu and cloudy conditions at 11 in Addis Ababa. It's 27 and clear in Lagos, going to highs of 34, and at 24 it's clear in Kinshasa, going to highs of 33.
Chilled Spice.
All the way from the Outer Ring Head junction this morning. It's coming in heavy on the Thika Superhighway. It's bumper to bumper. The traffic is very heavy this morning. Even the service lanes are not giving much reprieve. So this one, we're going to have to stick it out, folks, right? So patience is what's going to pay this morning. Hope you've gotten a great dollop of that because you will need it. Also heavy on Kiambu Road this morning and coming in on Limuru Road. All the twists and turns going to take you through to traffic that will touch on Wangari Maathai at some point. Waiaki Way is not looking too bad now, but there's a smidgen of traffic on Lower Kabete going towards Spring Valley. All right, coming off Langata Road now, much better. We're not going to deal with too much drama now. It might ebb and flow, but we'll watch out for that. Gong Road is busy, in and out towards the city. And as you're coming in from Cabanas towards North Airport Road, that has dissipated just a little bit. As you approach the AP Training College Junction on the Eastern Bypass, it's going to slow down a bit. So watch out for that. Let's talk on SpiceFM KE on X. Hashtag The Situation Room.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
With engineer James Mwangi, registered consulting engineer. This is the highest license that's given by the Engineers Board of Kenya. It means that you can be a consultant not just in the country, but in very many other jurisdictions where there's complementarity, you can also be a consulting engineer. In Africa, you can play in very many areas. When you go into those countries, you can bank with the Pan-African Bank.
Yes, you can. EcoBank is there to welcome you with open arms and say, you know, the business that you started in Kenya, where you were doing your transaction seamlessly, now you are in Abidjan. There's no problem. And then you move later and you go to Abuja. You will also be okay. If you go to Windhoek to practice, you'll be fine as well, because EcoBank is present in all of these countries and 31 more around the continent. And so making banking seamless for you, you don't have to think about closing down and opening again. You just get on the plane, you land, you continue with your business as it would be. They've also thrown this kind of bringing together support behind the Africa Cup of Nations, which concluded yesterday, and saying, look, we can bring countries together in banking, we can bring countries together in one of the greatest sports of football and put our support behind that, making everything just a bit better. A better you, a better Africa.
Indeed. Our conversation continues with the engineer and about LPG and regulations in the country. So, engineer, you've told us, every gas business in this country, first of all, must be registered, get into regulation. If you have a cylinder, then that cylinder must be registered with you. And colors are just to distinguish so that everybody can just tell from far. That's Total Gas, that is K-Gas by Rubies, that is Galana Energies, Del Gas, and so on and so forth. But all of them have similar valve. But then it's required, it's expected that once this gas is finished, that whole system, the distribution system, is going to end up with an empty K-Gas cylinder going back to K-Gas to be refilled and back into the market. That Total are not going to be refilling K-Gas, right? But then there's those unscrupulous people who are not branded, who are like shadowy, unknown, who will take all these gases and go and start refilling. And when they're doing that, they skip very many processes that are required by law. Checks and tests and confirmations and even weight. So when you're buying a 13 kg gas cylinder from these unscrupulous people who are doing these things back room, you may be getting a 9 kg thing.
Right.
Whereas Total or Delgas or K-Gas or any of these other branded ones, if they went back to those operations, they'd have made sure that it's a 13 because they have a responsibility for it. So how do we end up here with these unscrupulous people? And how are they doing it?
Let's just say that it shows that this is a critical business in this country for people to have that level of interest. The fact that you have this particular feature on the cylinder that makes it easy to fill in somebody else's cylinder or to fill any cylinder obviously is enticing. The business has been growing and is set to even grow further as the population increases and as people come up with new business model, marketing models, etc. So I think the rain started beating us when it became easy for you to fill in somebody else's cylinder. And at the time when this took place, the legislation to try and guide this was not quite in place. So you have a policy that was ahead of the legislation that would have then operationalized this effectively. Now, the other thing that has been important is that then the regulations have also come in. We now have the Petroleum Act in 2019, which is a more robust piece of legislation. And then, of course, the LPG regulations, like I said. So that has now come in to try and address the impact of having that unified valve and having that significant growth in demand, because the significant growth in demand means it's a business opportunity, etc. So what happened is that I think where we always find ourselves having a challenge is the capacity to go out there and ensure that we are effectively looking at these facilities. But even before we go there, the person who is going into this business, the level of awareness. I remember initially many years ago, those who were caught in a malpractice, you take them to court and then you say he was violating what standard?
Yeah.
It didn't exist. But now, of course, we have progressed significantly. So what we're saying is that even all effort of enforcement through government agencies, etc., must be supplemented by what I would call self-regulation. And this means having business membership organizations, etc., for specific players such as this, to first of all give them awareness, take their staff for training, etc., because you can go around looking at these facilities. When it disappears here, it pops up somewhere else, etc. The other thing is that perhaps our culture is also got something to do with it, where we aren't too concerned about the safety of the person or the customer that we are having. And what I find very sad, and this is demonstrated by road accidents, is that they never stop. You can have 10 people losing their life today, or 20. It comes up and then it never disappears. It comes again, etc. So there is awareness that is key. So that these people who want to go into this business, nobody is saying don't go into business, but they're saying if you choose to go into this business, these are the requirements. Now, to come to the next point is that there are different government agencies involved in this process. There is a person who will approve the location where you want to have this facility, the zoning, etc.
Who's that?
How conversant are they with the dangers of such facilities in as far as the location is concerned? If you look today, this country has over 4,000 petrol stations, and that's a good thing because they're trying to reach out there, bring some level of competition in terms of service, etc. But sometimes we must always ask ourselves, where are they located? So there's one, the level of competence and skill of the person who is saying, I accept or I approve you to be located here. And this is where development plans of a town or a city, etc., come into play. Because these things should be predetermined to a good extent. If you look today, the petroleum facilities are in an industrial area, most of them. And if you look at them, they are close to each other. What is the advantage of that? Is that you kind of confine that big risk in a certain area. Number two, it allows you to have some level of synergy and collaboration when this incident, if it came up in terms of firefighting facilities, competences to fight that firefighting facilities, the capacity and ability of emergency services to get to that location. You can imagine if it is all over the place, even the location to go and fight that fire is probably not to a level that you would expect. So zoning first. Zoning also goes with the sizing. In LPG, the key thing is safety. It's distance. We call it spacing.
Distance from what to what?
Let's start with the facility itself. Where the tank is and where the truck fills, there's a certain minimum distance that you must meet. Remember, a truck has got an exhaust. That is quite hot, although there are features that we put onto them. So there is spacing, and that is all contained in the standard. So you can't go and put a tank next to the office, next to where the cylinders are being filled. Spacing to allow gas, if it escapes, to dilute to the level that it doesn't spark easily. That's the whole concept or philosophy behind it. So there is spacing. So the size. So the person who's coming up with that design must be competent. And we need his signature and his stamp so that we can hold this person accountable.
Should anything happen.
Okay.
Right.
Then after that, there is that zoning. There is obviously we have the regulator who will look at the requirements from an engineering standpoint from these regulations. We have also NEMA that is also meant to come in and say, in as far as matters environment, how do you address this? And you put in a proposal, you use the right expert, because people may have a tendency of just taking materials previously done and just banging it into a report, etc. And then we, after NEMA, we have DOSH, the Directorate of Occupational Health and Safety. They say, okay, we need a fire permit. You need to show us your firefighting plan, etc. But obviously the overall regulator is EPRA, and you have seen that there are many instances where they have turned down these licenses. But the question is, it still springs up and it still goes ahead. It then means that those who do that do not feel that this is a threat enough. And that's why they feel they can go and still go ahead. And that's wrong.
Or is there a prescribed chronology of how these licenses should be applied? And overall, because the overall licensure shall come from EPRA, is EPRA aware when you are going to the local authorities to ask for location permits, when you are going to NEMA to ask for environment permits, when you are going to the safety to seek for the safety permit? Can they stop it from the very beginning and say, come on?
Actually, they do. If you look at the case of the environmental impact assessment, when it is submitted to NEMA, one copy must go to EPRA. And EPRA will make their comments on that study that has been submitted. And they are free. And I'm aware that they have previously gone out and said, we don't accept this. So that then tells NEMA, because they are specialized, tells NEMA that this regulator is saying this report does not meet certain requirements. But when it comes to the building service and zoning, I do not think there is provision for that to be sent to EPRA. I stand there to be guided. But the goodness right now is that we have portals. So if you look at the list of documentation expected to be submitted, there's a whole long list. And the beauty of it is that it goes to the extent that you want to know who is this individual, who is this company, the CR12, all these very pertinent details. And you then upload all these reports, licenses. Places like NEMA, a license is issued with conditions. And so even EPRA will be able to see it is issued subject to the following things being done. And therefore, when this facility is done, there's a construction permit, then there's a licensing, where they are also meant to check, have you done what you should have actually done? I think the biggest issue is that they are far and wide. There are many, like I said. And remember that EPRA is a regulator, but the prosecution comes through another government agency, ETC. And I'm just saying that perhaps there's need to enhance collaboration, and also for professionals, engineers like myself and others, going in there and actually looking and saying, hey, this is actually, it may have been approved this way, and then probably over time there has been modification, deterioration, and things like that. So supporting in terms of the technical aspects of checking compliance requirements, etc.
Sitting. The thing that I find particularly interesting with this discussion is just one thing. It's argued that some of our laws are not stringent enough, but how much more do we want them to be stringent, really? And why must our laws of necessity bring about fear in order for them to be obeyed? What is it about us and our great need to disregard laws? Because it is that the laws don't exist. The conversation that in my mind we are preoccupied with is the ability and the means by which we can circumvent these laws. There's a book I'm reading still. It's called Why Nations Fail. And one of the observations that these writers have is that many African nations have very, very good laws. But what these laws do is that they bring about more corruption. Because if you have stringent laws with huge fines, what you've actually done is opened a huge door to even further corruption. Like when you mentioned the 10 million, I was thinking, okay, someone will flaunt the law, knows they're going to flaunt the law. They know there is the fine that they're likely to be charged. But the person who comes to enforce the law then gives you a plan B and says, if you wish to avert this outcome that you're now facing, perhaps you and I can have a conversation. So it simply broadens the conversation. It doesn't reduce the likelihood of more occurrence of the same. So are we then therefore saying that if we look at where the bulk of our population is, and we look at the places from where they have been getting their gas for domestic use, are we saying that it is by God's good grace that we haven't had domestic disasters on a large scale of the problem that we're having? Because the bulk of these people are served by the very, very individuals that we're saying may not necessarily be licensed and may not necessarily be adhering to these norms.
Maybe let me start by saying that we don't want to have a blanket condemnation coming from your comment, because there are those who are actually licensed. The question is whether they then practice in alignment to the requirements of the law. But the point that you also bring is that they are playing a very important role in making sure that these gas actually, there is a higher penetration of this gas in as far as availability to the user. So if you go to, I went to my village one time a couple of years ago, and I was actually very surprised to see cylinders there. freely sold. And I thought, hey, this is good. Gas is there.
Yeah.
And I also learned that the cost of the alternative, which is firewood, was actually higher. And so people are beginning to change. So they have played a very important role. The question, because they also are able to go to places where maybe certain companies would not find to be commercially viable.
Yep.
It's a small little village, and they may not find it to be commercially viable. So, but the comment that you make is very valid because it's not the absence of the laws, actually. The laws are actually there. But I think it goes back to the fabric of our value system, in as far as feeling that I am responsible for the person that I'm actually serving, to the extent that I take what I believe are measures to protect this customer of mine, and that I have a relationship and I have an obligation to look after this customer. But the truth be said is that is something that we still need to look at. I don't think it is impossible to do. I also think that as we go along, there are people who we are advised started off perhaps doing business in the not correct way, and they became then victims of the same model. So you go and you decide, now I have capacity to get to the level where now I can do legitimate business and I can have a distribution system. And then perhaps you find yourself confronted with the same problem. But I can say this, that perhaps the proliferation of these facilities means they're trying to serve a certain market and penetrate. But it is possibly, very possible, for us to be looking at bigger storage facilities that have larger economies of scale, which then even reduces the what I would call the filling charges, ETC. And these facilities, just like today we have a company like Kenya Pipeline, which in Western Kenya, for those of us who are in this industry for many years, saw a complete change when they went to Western Kenya and offered people these facilities. Then the need for having smaller depots were not found to be there. It found itself more convenient. You take your truck, you have fuel in the system, you take a truck, you get loaded, and you go wherever you want. So we need to look and see, how do we have economies of scale? Because if we have these larger facilities that allow people to just take your cylinders, then let people compete in the distribution system.
Sure.
And then perhaps that would solve one part of the problem. But the issue of that brand, if we come back to it, that would still be something that needs to be addressed. But we have more cylinder manufacturing facilities in the country. So it's not that we don't have that capacity. Oh, by the way, lastly, is the consumer. The awareness and education of the consumer will also have a very important bearing.
Sure, I think there are many questions that come up, especially from the consumer side of things, where you're asking yourself, all right, well, I bought a canister of gas, it should have lasted me X period of time, it didn't, and then things like that start to pop up in terms of, all right, so was this then filled at a facility whereby all the requirements and the standards had been kept and upheld? So those questions come into play. And then linked to, in terms of the bodies that are tasked with oversight on all of these things that we speak of today, so it takes into consideration everybody, do they have enough capacity to go through and through to make sure that everything is up to scratch? Because we have mushrooming backwoods. I don't know where somebody has we don't even know where they are today. We unfortunately hear about them when there's a disaster. Is there enough?
Yeah. Let me first of all, before I answer your question, just go back to that feeling, because we have seen companies have special seals, special seals, so that you can know right from the word go, this actually came from company X. We have technology coming in that can now track these cylinders in terms of their numbers, etc. So technology is also going to help. In terms of what you've asked, Madam, obviously capacity. How far do you regulate? And I'm happy what the gentleman here said. How far can you regulate? Do you have one policeman per person or two? So it's still something that we need to do in terms of capacity and awareness. But self-regulation, still has a very big role to play and awareness.
So the Petroleum Institute of East Africa, which is a business membership organization that brings together all these petroleum marketing companies, has a lot more to do here in ensuring that we don't have many cases of this.
Yeah, actually, they have done a lot in this industry, but it started off as one. Now we have more. We have more business membership organizations.
Yes.
I sit on the board of KEPSA, and I'm aware that they are quite a number. And they and it's okay. You have transporters, you have big players, smaller players, etc. So the increase in those business membership means for you to be there, you must agree to certain norms, etc. But they have played a big role. They are certainly a role model to the others in terms of driving agenda, etc. And compliance.
Engineer James Mwangi, registered consulting engineer, has been our guest educating us about the LPG business in the country. Keep it here for more, 9 a.m.
Good morning, this is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. Kelvin Kiptum's death is a blow to the country, says Sports Cabinet Secretary Ababu Namamba in a phone interview with the Standard. The CS said that the death of Kelvin has left the country and especially the athletics fraternity in shock, as Kiptum had a promising career.
Certainly not a good morning. Absolutely not a good morning. It's actually a horrible day. We have barely slept. I got this news just about midnight, and it's still something difficult to believe. I've been in contact with Athletics Kenya President General Tuwei, the leadership of the county government of Marakwet, the family. I am making arrangements to travel to Eldoret this morning just to have a view of the situation. But really, this is devastating. I mean, Kelvin was just starting out on a career that promised everything you could ever imagine, could ever dream of. We just honored him the other day for breaking his world record. His world record just got ratified a few days ago. It is something difficult to put in words.
Namambo, while expressing his sadness and sending condolences to the family, said that the government has been consulting on the matter and that it will be giving a statement on the funeral and burial arrangements for Kiptum later in the day.
We have been in contact across the board. Last night, I also contacted His Excellency President William Ruto to give him the details of this horrible accident as soon as I got the details of it. And as soon as I get down to Eldoret and down in Cartel, E10, we will be in a position maybe to say a bit more. It's a dark day for this country and for the young family of Kelvin. It's really terrible. We will plead for a few moments this morning as we put everything together, and then government will be able to make a comprehensive statement. This is a national icon. It's a global figure. We have already made some proposals. There are consultations that are already going on. In due course, later in the day, we'll be making a comprehensive statement that will shed light on all those issues.
The accident ended Kiptum's first rise to stardom. Now, he started off his journey to marathon stardom by winning Valencia Marathon in December 2022. He went ahead to win the 2023 London Marathon in a course record before shattering the world record at the Chicago Marathon in October. This as President William Ruto has sent his condolence messages to the family and friends of the world marathon record holder Kelvin Kiptum. He describes him as an extraordinary sportsman who left an extraordinary mark in the club. Now, Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka has threatened that there will be a nationwide protest if a proposal to oust Chief Justice Martha Koome, is realized. Speaking during a church service at Muthara Tigania East in Meru County on Sunday, Kalonzo said that he is privy to a petition filed in court seeking the removal of Koome, which he says is an outright attack against the judiciary.
Chief Justice Martha Koome alipatia watu wa Kenya serikali, sisi tulikuwa tumepinga, akatoa uamuzi, hatukukubaliana nao, lakini tukaajibika. Sasa siingiliwe tena. Chief Justice Martha Koome ni mtoto wa Meru. Ni kweli si kweli? Wengine wanasema ni kama wanataka kufanya mswada watoe Martha Koome. Tutaandamana mpaka Maua, mpaka Sekuru, mpaka Meru, Mutindwa, hiyo yote Kakoromoni. Hatutakubali mambo hayo. Kwa hivyo hiyo tunasema hiyo story ikome, because you cannot do that.
Arguing that Parliament has already been compromised, Kalonzo urged legislators who are still with the opposition to contest every proposal that seems to frustrate the will of Kenyans.
Already Parliament mmetekwa nyara, lakini wale timu Azimio ambao mmesalia, kaeni strong, mpinge kabisa mswada huu ambao unaletwa ati housing bill. Nimelala Embu, nimeamka Embu, ikaonyesha housing inaitwa affordable housing. Nyumba moja pale 4 million. Private sector already are building in huko upande at the river kwingine at 2.9 million. Na watu wanaajiriwa kazi kwa wingi. Serikali haiwezi kuwa inajihusisha kwa mambo ya private business. It cannot work.
The petition to oust Koome was filed by Michael Kojo Otieno, who claimed that the CJ failed to follow the law in appointing members of the Tax Appeal Tribunal. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Alcedo. Good morning.
.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
If a lion shows you its teeth, it doesn't mean it likes you.
It doesn't mean it likes you. It wants tax. A liar calls as witness one who is either dead or far away. Say it in Kiswahili.
Ben low, nin inte, nin there, ayu markati kadikta. You know this character called a liar. He has disturbed people. So when you tell him who are your witnesses, he will take you to a place where it is difficult to verify.
For someone like me who sweats a lot, I cannot survive there. Sweating is biblical. Good. And you must blame it on Adam, not because Adam messed up and he was told, no, you.
All right, let's see what's popping right about 9 o'clock on the streets this morning. Are you coming off of Thika Superhighway? It's been quite one for the books this morning, has it not? Well, if you're getting into the CBD, you find that the traffic now is coming around Survey and then through towards the fork in the road, going towards Wangari Maathai or to the city at Moranga Road. I think there you'll be okay. Coming off Limuru Road, up there... through towards City Park and then out towards Parklands. There you're getting better as we get through it this morning. Into the CBD, we'll find more traffic on Uhuru Highway now than we did earlier, and on Jogo Road has not posed a problem at all. Coming off Langata Road, you're okay as well, and Gong Road with that busyness has reduced a bit. Keeping an eye on things. Let's see what happens as we come to the close of Traffic Hour. We will talk on Spice FM, KE on X, hashtag The Situation Room.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latin, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The Situation Room. Happy Monday, 12th day of February 2024. Tomorrow, 13th. Wednesday, 14th.
And then on the 14th, it'll be 6 o'clock. And at 6 o'clock, where will you be? Let me tell you where you'll be. You will be at the Sarit, your city, in the car park. There will be a wonderful setup there. and it'll be for the Elegance in Love cocktail dinner that's taking place there, courtesy of Sari City and SpiceFM. You would have come by yourself, and you would have paid 3,000 shillings. Or you would have come with someone else, and you would have paid 5,500 shillings. Or you will come with somebody really special, and you would have paid 10,000 shillings. And you would have done all this because you went to www.ticketsasa.com, right? Then you would have also come dressed in burgundy and gold. And you would have sat down and you would have had a welcome drink, and you would have a wonderful 3-course dinner and a little bit of something to take away. And if you were on that table that you paid 10,000 shillings for, you would have also had a bottle of bubbly on the table. Champagne, as they say. Right? So that's what would have happened by that 6 o'clock on the 14th. And then you would have, and then by the time it's midnight, 1 in the morning, you would have listened to the lovely crooning of Wahoo and Nameless at the Elegance in Love cocktail dinner on the 14th at 6 p.m. All of these things would have happened by the time this night is over.
Hey. Valentine's Day 2024 is one for the books. It'll go down in history. You remember? I remember what he did on.
Do you remember?
The 14th day of February. Not any.
You were heading in that direction, Eric, weren't you?
Particularly on the 2024th year. Hey, why? Okay. Now, as we get into this final hour of the conversation, people of Kajiado County are not happy. Well, there are some, I'm sure, who are happy. Others, many say they are not happy. And why are they not happy? They are not happy because they feel, Bwana, we are not getting the value for service that, as we should expect. Wapi maji, wapi choo, wapi barbara, wapi, so many things. And they've come together and they are preparing a petition to say, we pay tax, we expect service. We pay tax, we expect service. Otieno Ongaro is a community advocacy group leader in Ongata Rongai. He is one of those who are leading this push to tell the county government of Kajiado, please, wajibikeni. He's our guest. Otieno, good morning.
Good morning, Eric and Ndu, yes. And also City.
Yes, good morning.
Karibu sana to the hot seat of the Situation Room.
Thank you so much. It is quite hot. And, in Kajiado we don't have water. So I hoped I could even get some water to quench my thirst.
Water is coming.
Before
water is on
and now the seat is hot and I'm thirsty, you see.
Do not worry, my friend. This is Edna walking in with a bottle of Keringet water. And Keringet water, they tell you, own your richness. You know why? Because Keringet water is not just any other water. It is natural mineral water.
Thank you.
And when it is natural mineral water, it means that it has minerals that have been infused naturally from the earth, bottled at source in Keringet and brought to you to quench your thirsts. Okay?
Thank you so much.
And enjoy.
It has been long. There are many things that can kill you in Ongata Rongai.
Wow.
If the sewage, if you don't get contaminated through the sewage, you get killed by hyena. If you are not killed by hyena, you break your back because of the bad roads. If you don't break your back, then you get a flu through the dust. Actually, I had to do a thorough cleanup before I get here.
You were dusty
because I was very dusty. And that is the kind of situation that we are in. We are a forgotten kind of people, and we are just some very few kilometers. Actually, I think from here to where I stay now.
Who has forgotten you?
We are forgotten by the national government and by the county government. Totally. It is like when the national government is doing their things, they hive us out. And when the county government is doing their things, they also hive us out. And that is Ongata Rongai. Actually, that is Kajiado North and Kajiado East. And we don't know what the mistakes that we did. And I hope, because I know this show is very big.
The dust is an issue, eh? Yeah. Because people are already talking about this dust is killing us in Ongata Rongai. It's a thing.
It is a real big deal. And, actually, there is a road called Masai Lodge Rimpa Road. And there is another one called Gataka, Ongata Rongai Road. These two roads have 5 public schools, and children are suffering. There was a time a certain hospital came there to do just some tests, and many children had chest problems, eye problems because of the dust. We have like a Sasi Primary School, Olepasha ECD. We have Ongata Rongai Primary School, Nakel Primary School. We have Nakel Secondary School, Ngai Murunya Secondary School. All these, the children are learning in serious dust.
Where? Yeah. We shall discuss that this morning and get to hear what you're doing about it.
Yeah.
To welcome you to the conversation, C.T. Muga has the day's proverb. This week, the proverbs will be from Angola.
Yes, they are. The Republic of Angola. 1 spoon of soup in need has more value than a pot of soup when we have an abundance of food.
1 spoon of soup
in need has more value than abundance of?
Than a pot of soup when we have an abundance of food.
Yeah, this first, just to explain, I think that sometimes when you have little money, that money is so valuable because you plan for it very well. But when you have so many, you squander it, and you don't you don't do a lot of budgets when the money is so much. So I think that the first thing I could say that a little money would be more valuable than
when you have a lot of money.
And the second one, I would say, a kilometer of a tarmac road
is better
for people in need like us.
Than 20 kilometers.
It's better than 20 kilometers that in let's say maybe in Karen.
Has a lot of tarmac.
Yes.
So Ochieno, you've talked about issues in Kajiado North, Kajiado Central. I'm sure we can talk about the other constituencies and sub-counties in Kajiado, Kajiado South, Kajiado West, Kajiado East, right? And they'd have and Central as well. They'd have issues to talk about and raise. Are there similar issues in the other sub-counties of Kajiado?
Yes, I know we are suffering, but our cases looks so bad because of the kind of population that we have. But if you go to Kajiado West, Kajiado West from Magadi Soda to Ngurumani to somewhere called Kiramatian and Patterson. There is no road.
To the border with Tanzania.
Yes, that place is very bad. And even when you go to the Rombo side, there are no roads. Actually, some people are calling me from Hilbisil, telling me to help them put up a caucus so that they also can agitate for their issues. But the county is huge, but it is like very little is being done. And I heard the other day that we are one of the counties which have received up to even December disbursement of the shareable revenue. So we wonder, where is the money going?
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a budget.
Yes.
What's in the budget for this financial year? Are any of those things that you're mentioning, garbage collection, roads, water provision, etc., are they in the budget for 2023-2024?
What I want to say, I was in the public participation of the budget, and there was a very elaborate plan of many things that needs to be done. And actually, even the county has a special plan on what they want to achieve, but little is done actually. Very little is done. At the moment, you see like Ololaiza Water Company, which belongs to the county government, they are no longer able to supply water because the electricity has been disconnected.
Where? Wait.
Yeah.
Where does Ololaiza Water Company get its water from?
They get water from Kiserian Dam, and they get water from Mbagathi River.
And then they treat it.
They treat the water. They treat the water somewhere near Hadi. Another water is treated in Kiserian. Then the water is pumped into the reservoirs. Then it is pumped to the people. But
and
now,
to pump the water, you need electricity.
You need electricity. Yeah.
So electricity has been disconnected.
Yeah, since December there have not been water, and I know even the MP some times back tried to bring to pay, to say that they are going to negotiate on how they can pay the bill. I don't know what happened, because the water came for like a week and it disappeared again.
Sorry.
Yeah.
The water came from where?
The water is there. What is not there is electricity to pump the water.
Oh, sorry.
Power was disconnected.
Yeah.
Do you know this for a fact, Otieno? Or is it what you have heard?
It is something I know. I live in Ongata Rongai, and actually people were even planning a demonstration.
No, all I'm asking is, do you know for a fact that you're not getting water because power has been disconnected?
I know this for a fact.
Okay.
Yes.
Can I ask
what kind of bill are we dealing with?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have not accessed the bill itself, but what I know is that it is in public domain, and it has been spoken of. Even the governor himself has had a meeting with the board of the water company, trying to solve the issue of electricity.
Okay, Otieno, let's understand something here. So if we try to make it simple for my mind to understand, that there are reservoirs of water within the county, different parts of the county, but we're going to look at Ongata Rongai right now and say that there is water that can be distributed to different parts where people turn on their taps and there's nothing. And that water is just sitting in the reservoir tanks, waiting for somebody to turn on the tap because of power. And the only reason why people are not getting water is because the power bill has not been paid. 1. 2, the local area MPs are aware of this. They tried to pay something, but then water came for a week. It was switched off. The money finished. 3, the county government, with the chief executive being the governor, is aware of this, and nothing has been done. What are we talking about? The county owes the power people money? Or what is, there's a bill that is unpaid and so they disconnected power? What are we talking about here?
We are talking about a bill that has accumulated, a huge bill that has accumulated for some time, and the county government has not paid it, because for sure the water is not it is not a mandate of the MP to pay, and even the MP was overstepping just to try to calm the situation. But this is a county government function, and people actually are paying bills, and if you don't pay, they disconnect.
Disconnect what?
Yeah, but there's nothing to disconnect.
They disconnect. And actually, some people are having even some abnormal bills because some at maybe a whole month there's not been water, but at the end of the month, you get a bill.
Where are you getting water from now, if I can ask? Where is water coming from at the moment for you to then be able to use?
We like me now, I have a jirani who has a borehole, so I'm using the borehole water, and then there was rain, so we have some.
So you've
some money, some water that we stored in the tanks. That is what we are using at the moment. But because I live in the peripheries of Ongata Rongai town, but those people who live within the CBD, they are suffering, and that is just one problem. Ngong Market that was built, I think, by the World Bank, that huge, very beautiful building, has no electricity, and traders cannot trade at night.
City is laughing.
Please
say again. We know where Ngong Market is. We've been to Ngong Town, right? Beautiful, huge place that was constructed, and next to it is a bus stop.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
So there is power in Ngong Town.
Yes.
There is a mall there that has a huge supermarket. There's power.
There's the.
Across the road, there are shops there. There's power.
Yeah.
In the market, there is no power.
There is no power. And actually, as we talk, the traders told the city council, the county council people that we don't want to see you here. We are not going to pay the taxes. We are not going to pay anything. Let us use Mulika Mwizi, but please don't disturb us. And it is like the county government is okay with that because they have not tried even their best to reconnect the power.
Reconnect as in is there structure, infrastructure within the market?
Yeah. Yeah, when the market
built it,
there was power.
There was power.
It's been disconnected because of bills.
You get it now, City?
Yeah. I was laughing because I was imagining this beautiful thing is put up and somebody forgot to do the wiring.
No, at some point there was.
Okay.
So power has been disconnected here as well?
Yeah, power has been disconnected.
Is there water in this market?
There's no water in the market.
Are there toilets in this market?
There are toilets because when the infrastructure was being done and even the water pipes, everything was there.
Yeah.
But now because of the bad management, it is barely 2 years since that market was opened.
Yeah.
And now it is dysfunctional already.
So there's no water in the market.
There's no water now.
There's no power in the market.
Yeah.
But there are county health officers who inspect this market.
Yeah.
And do food is sold in this market.
Do they give it a clean bill of health and say that these are sanitary conditions to sell food from here?
You know, I think because these guys have already failed themselves, now you cannot put me accountable. You cannot hold me accountable. In church terms, they say that a pastor who is promiscuous cannot tell the congregants not to. He has no moral authority to stand.
Which church do you go to?
No moral authority to say.
You don't have that moral ground to stand, and that is what is happening in the county government. The county government has no moral authority to tell the traders that your foods are dirty. There is
meanwhile, we've not provided water for you.
There is another market that is on the road called Sokomjinga in Ongata Rongai. And even today, there is no rain in Rongai today. But when you go there, when you get out, you are very muddy.
How is that?
Yeah.
What is going on?
Yeah.
Poor drainage.
Yeah. There is not poor. No drainage.
Non-existent drainage.
Yeah.
This is at Sokomjinga market in Ongata Rongai.
Yeah. Though Sokomjinga is not a market per se because it is on a road reserve.
Okay.
So we may not.
Is there garbage collection in Ongata Rongai?
There is no garbage collection in Ongata Rongai, and we have mountains of them.
Sorry.
Is there anything that works in the
I want to ask you, please, let me understand it.
Yeah.
So that we can also get it. Because as I said, the other people who are complaining, if we look on the other side, essentially, of makes part of Kajiado, which is Kitengela, people are complaining about the same thing.
Yeah.
So let's go just Ongata Rongai now and say, okay, constituencies in Ongata Rongai?
Yeah, Ongata Rongai is Kajiado North Coast.
It's Kajiado North. Yes. Okay. So yes, there is an MP, of course.
Yeah.
There are also MCAs.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Is there a county office there?
There are ward admins.
Yeah, there are ward admins.
There are quite a number.
And sub-county admins.
Exactly. They all exist.
Yeah.
Right? So county then has representation in this area very well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, I'm sorry, it just sounds that we're repetitive in nature asking this question, but I think it is important so for us we can understand that there are these functions of the county government. They are functions. They're well stipulated. We know that this is what they're supposed to do. But we're essentially saying that they've not been happening. And for years, they've not been happening. So if the things that are supposed to have been done by the county are not taking place, that means you can't expect that any further development will be done, because even the ones that are supposed to be done are not being done. Just the basics, water provision, facilities, electricity, the cleanup of garbage and things like that. Those things don't exist. So, what does happen? I think because we can't ask what doesn't happen. There are too many. What does happen for us to see a representation of county before then we can go to the next? In terms of we're looking for a solution here. Okay. What does happen and who handles that?
Okay, what happens is that
what work can you see being done?
What I'm seeing done is rates are being collected. I can see a county vehicle going around telling us to pay licenses in time.
Okay.
Basically, that is what is happening.
So revenue collection is happening.
Yes.
At the market, people are paying for the daily market permits. Shops are paying for their licenses. Those who own land are paying for land rates.
Yes.
And all those various areas of revenue collection, those have not been impacted. Do you think, because you're very well informed, Otieno, from what you've seen, the reports coming in from the county treasury, is the county collecting revenue as it had projected in the budget? Own source revenue?
No, our own source revenue is we are not missing. We are not meeting the target. We are not even meeting half of the.
What is the target for this year? If you may recollect.
I cannot recall, actually. I cannot recall. You know, when whatever has happened around us, it is like we have given up on the county government. So that to an extent that you don't even want to follow it up. But it is less than even 20% what we collected last year. Less than 20% of what was projected. And from what I'm seeing, and because we are also we want to petition them so that we don't pay for the next for this year.
They will not even collect anything.
So they will not collect anything.
I can tell you because we sat here with an MCA from Rimpa.
From Olkeri.
Olkeri. And he is in the budget committee and he's in the leadership of the assembly. And he said in the last financial year, they collected less than 50% of what they had collected in the previous financial year. So 2022-2023, Kajiado County collected less than 50% of what they had collected in 21-22. And of course, the projection for 23-24, because of budget making, they had taken it to another astronomical value. They are clearly not meeting that. And service is not being delivered. So the likelihood of them even raising the target that they had set is going to be low. Now, you and others are preparing a petition. You'll tell us about that petition, what it's all about, who you're petitioning, why you're raising this petition, and what you want to get out of it. But let's first of all take a break. Ndu, as we take a break, please tell Otieno Ongaro about the Pan-African Bank.
There's a bank.
Okay.
It's a Pan-African bank. Meaning it has representation in very many African countries, 35 to be exact. It's EcoBank. That means today there is a representation in Kenya. And if you decide that all these problems are too many, and you're saying we are going to live in Namibia, you find EcoBank there. Do you understand what I'm saying? So EcoBank is a Pan-African bank with representation around the continent and also in some countries around the world, including South Africa, as CT will tell you. And it's coming together in the African spirit where I say we can do better. We can make sure that it doesn't matter where you are, you can be represented with all your economic needs. And also has very many express branches right here in Kenya, in different cities across the nation. And they've also come together in that same African spirit and have thrown their support behind the Africa Cup of Nations, which just concluded yesterday, in that spirit of togetherness, saying we can do better, Africa can do better.
Indeed. 27 minutes to 10. We're here with Otieno Ongaro. He's a community advocacy group leader from Ongata Rongai. He and others are launching a petition against the county government of Kajiado. And they're saying no services, no taxes. Okay. We'll continue this conversation shortly. Ndu, first tell us about the traffic.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
some very nice, mature music.
It really took me back to my days, and I can just feel young again and enjoy the vibes.
So we're looking at a lot more now. Uhuru Highway, though, however, is going to be busy for some time now as you get out to the city and then through towards Westlands. There's still some left on the Thika Superhighway between Kenya Utali College and then at the underpass. So I think that's all you're going to have to contend with this morning if you're on the Thika Superhighway. Apart from that, I think we're fine. We've done well with traffic this morning. Busy as it was, we got through without a scratch. Let's talk on SpiceFM. KE on X through the day.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4.
A musician called Sukuma bin Ongaro.
Sukuma Bila what?
Sukuma bin Ongaro.
Oh.
Now we have with us in the studio Otieno bin Ongaro. Famous activist from Ongata Rongai in Kajiado. So tell us about the petition.
And I'm also a singer. You see? Maybe, but we are not related.
When you Vumbi bin Ongaro.
Yeah, maybe before I go to the petition, I want to also highlight about another road. There is a road called Nazarene Kitengela Road. This is a very important road. It is only 26 kilometers from Ongata Rongai to Kitengela. But the road
through Nazarene, from African Nazarene,
from African Nazarene University through Twala, you go to another center called Nkurunka, you go to Sidai, Mpakasi, then you go to Kitengela. It is only 26 kilometers. But for us to go to Kitengela, we have to come back to Nairobi County, then use this Mombasa Road.
Get to Machakos.
To Machakos County, then we go back to Kajiado. From Kajiado.
From Kajiado.
Yeah, we come from Kajiado County, we go to 2 other counties before we go back to Kajiado. So, and or you go to Kiserian, you go to Isinya, then you come to Kitengela. But this road is a very, very important road actually, because quarry stones are mined there. There have been confirmed that there is clinker that is used for cement. There is confirmation of pozzolana which is being harvested there, and there is no road to transport these things. And the county government actually, every trip of a lorry that comes from that area pays 1,000 shillings per trip. Yeah, and they do over 700 trips in a day.
Get out of town.
The number of trucks there.
Yeah.
So basically,
paid to the county government.
Yeah, that is supposed to be paid to the county government. But you know, the reason why they are missing the target and they won't say that is because there is rampant corruption. Just a mere clerk who is collecting that money is doing wonders. In the development, they are doing flats and buying many vehicles. And what is remitted back to the county government at the end of the day is not the 700,000 that we could
realize on a daily basis.
Yeah, but they are getting, the county government is getting even less than 100,000 in a day, because all the other money goes to private pockets. But nobody cares on how to streamline that, and the road is very bad.
What does that tell you? Because if the county knows that is happening, because if you are aware of it, people in the county are aware of it.
Yeah.
And so if they don't seem to be doing anything about it, what does it tell you?
They're the ones.
It is it is part of them.
That there's a high possibility that they could also be beneficiaries.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah, so this road is very important. Actually, it can even act also as another southern bypass, because you can, if you are going to Western Kenya, from Mombasa, you can branch to Kitengela, take that route, go to Ongata Rongai, go to Suswa, and
all the way.
Essentially, follow the railway.
Yes. Yeah. So, but the road is very bad. There is you can't use that road from Ongata Rongai to Kitengela, while that road has immense opportunity. Apart from the quarry stones, the clinker, the pozzolana, They are
Pozzolana. What is it?
Pozzolana there is a stone that it is a component of cement. It's a
one of the things that you use to make.
One of the ingredients.
Yeah, one of the ingredients of making a cement, and it is mined. There are a lot of crushers. They are mining it already, but the vehicles breaks down every now and then.
Because of the road.
Yeah, because the road is very, very, very bad. If some children may not even go to school, there are many actually rivers with no bridges. So when when the water passes, then there is
it means if the children can't cross to go to the schools because the rivers are flooded.
Yeah, if you do a mistake of getting sick when the rivers are flooded, you die. That is what we are. And the land is expansive. And you see, if you take the proximity of that place and maybe do it towards maybe Kiambu, you'll see that Kiambu, an acre maybe would go for, I don't know, but it must be more than 20 million. But you see our area, you will get acre for 4.5 million. Yes.
Okay.
And it is just across the park here.
I'm curious now. Obviously, there's the mention of the petition, but as you go and tell us what's in the petition and what exactly it is that you're asking for, or rather demanding for, what has the top leadership of the county said about these issues? Because I'm sure, but I could assume, but by the time you're taking a petition, that you have actually addressed these issues directly at the top offices of the county. As you've done that, what have they said? Olelenku? Yes. What has he said in terms of what they would plan, and I use that word very carefully this morning, to do about all of these issues before you now tell us what's in the petition?
Yeah, I wrote a letter, and the letter had all these issues together, and I took it to the governor's office, and I also took it to the county assembly's office. In the county assembly, they didn't receive it. In the county assembly, they didn't receive the letter.
They didn't receive it because there was nobody there to pick it up? They didn't receive it because they said, Otieno, take your letter and go? Or what? What does that mean?
There was someone there, but that someone told us that he is not the one who is supposed to receive the letter. So we left the letter with the watchman, and we don't know whether it reached.
Why? Was the assembly in session?
No, the assembly was not in session.
Was it during recess?
Yeah. Then, but in the governor's office, it was received and stamped received.
Okay.
But nothing. There's no response.
When did you take the letter to the governor's office?
Yeah, that was on. Let me just check on the date. It was it was in this January. Yeah, I did it in this January.
Okay.
I don't. My letter here doesn't show me the date.
Did you take the letter to your MCA?
No. What happened
in your ward?
Our MCAs, we have in the MCAs that are affected by these issues that I'm talking about are around 6.
Okay.
We have MCA for Olosirikon Sholinge ward. We have MCA for Ololua, MCA for Ngatarongai ward, MCA for Ngai Murunya ward, MC for Olkeri ward, and MC for Ngong ward.
Okay.
These people, most of them, actually, the Ngatarongai ward, Ngai Murunya ward, Olosirikon Sholinge ward, these are people whom we talk to. Okay. I personally talk to them. They know the issue. Some of them we've we've gone to all these offices, and we've actually done a lot on these matters, especially on the roads. We've gone to Kera here at the airport.
So why I'm asking that is using your local MCA as residents, taking this petition to your local MCA, and it being marked as received by the office of the MCA of your ward, or the MCA of your ward then facilitating for you to take it to the clerk of the county assembly and it being marked as received, so then it can be processed as a petition. Has this happened? Because we know the executive has received the petition.
Yeah.
The assembly is where you got there and you found somebody who told you, mimi kazi yangu mimi ni askari, sijui mambo ya kuchukua barua.
Yeah.
Have you approached any other method of making sure that the county assembly is aware of this issue?
Yeah, so Eric, as we started this issue, we had a meeting, a dialogue. We called it a public dialogue at Nazarene University.
Mm-hmm.
We called the governor, the deputy governor, all these MCAs, and we talked, and the people were there. People told them all these things. A responsible MCA would have not waited for me to again give him another
follow up
letter.
with a letter. Yes.
Yeah, they could have prompted this matter, took it to the county assembly, and things could have happened. Yeah.
You know, what you say is absolutely true, but then, so long as we keep hoping that what you're saying should happen doesn't happen, your matter does not get resolved.
Sure.
So how do you get these MCAs to make this thing a county matter? Because after all, they are the MPs in the assembly, are they not?
Yeah, they are.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. What we want to do, and that is why we want to take this petition, because we feel we are over 3,000 people who have come together to do this lobby. We started it under Masai Lodge Road Petition Group, but it expanded, and because we've been with these people and they are not doing anything. So for us to pinch them, we must go to
higher
to the courts, and the courts gives orders that will make them realize that we are people who have minds and also who desire to get development.
So I hear you saying that the first thing essentially is to get their attention, because you've tried, because you know what, usually they'll ask in the hierarchy of process, did you do 1, 2, 3? Did you go to your least possible form of representation? Did you go to the next one if you didn't get anything? I mean, look, I think it's pretty pathetic and pitiful that there are certain things that are supposed to be done by the county government, stipulated, as you know you're supposed to do them, but they're not done, and somebody has to beg you. Look, that's a whole conversation for another day. But I think that's pathetic, first of all. But then, of course, the question then will be asked of you that, did you then go through the different steps then for, attention? But then now what you're saying is that all has happened. Yeah. And the only way we're going to get somebody to sit up and pay attention is if we go to court and they compel you to, at the very least, acknowledge that there are issues and then do your job. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that is what I'm saying. We have letters that we did. No, these ones we did, I think, in 2023, 2022, to the MCS. And they came, we talked. But they did nothing that is substantial. That's something that can be seen. So, we can't keep begging. We have our lives to live. We don't. Their work is to represent us. But if they don't, we will not continually be reminding them every now and then that we need representation. While we don't remind them when it comes to time of taking salaries.
Abi?
So, what is your petition?
Our petition is about this. The issues, it is. We are taking it to the county because we've taken another petition already. We have 3 petitions but these ones were taken to the National Assembly concerning the national government roads, like the ones under Kera and Kura. We took 3 petitions and wakakanyagia all of them. None saw the light of the day. The 3 petitions, and we did a lot of work. And now we are taking this route of taking the first the county government to the court we are petitioning them because of that Ololaisa Water Company. We are petitioning them because of the electricity bill at the Ngong Market. We are petitioning them because of the children suffering at the Olepasha ECD and the other schools which are there. Actually, the schools are very dilapidated. This school, some children, we have even in Ongata-Rongai is a metropolitan place, and we still have classes with no floors.
In Olopasha?
No, in Olekasasi Primary School. Yeah. And there are dusts. We are taking them because of that. Then there is the sewage spillage. We have no sewer system in Ongata Rongai, and now landlords, their plans have been approved in the county, but there is no place to direct the sewers. So when there is a little drizzle, they release the sewage on the road. And you wonder, you can come from Nairobi when it was just a little drizzle, but when you reach Ongata Rongai, you get floods of very dirty water. The landlords are opening the sewage into the roads because there is no sewer system. And Ongata Rongai is a huge town with a huge population at the moment. Ongata Rongai, Kiserian, Ngong, and Kitengela. The population is very huge. Ongata Rongai alone is surrounded by 5 universities, and these students lives in Ongata Rongai. Yeah. So that is one of the things we are pursuing the county government for. Then we have also domestic animals that are wayward. Domestic animals, they are just there in the garbage.
What? People have unleashed their goats and pigs.
Pigs, goats,
chicken.
Everything is everywhere. So it is not controlled. We have lost 2 children, I think last year. We lost a child, maybe I should not mention their names because I don't have the permission, but these children died on an open pits with the water. When dirty water is left, maybe in a construction site, and then there is open pit. Children from school, a child comes from school and
they play.
Yeah, playing there, and they drown there. 2 children. The last one was the last child was buried in 7th of January.
So you've included that in the petition?
Yeah.
What are you asking the court to do?
We are asking the court to first exempt, to give an order of exemption first of taxes, because we are not receiving the services.
Give an order of exemption to whom?
To the residents
of
Kajiado North and Kajiado East. Actually, we've included the whole Kajiado because it is like, I know that it is only, we don't know what is happening in Kajiado Central because we don't live there, but maybe we have the same issues.
Okay.
Our biggest...
So number one is that the court allow you not to pay charges.
Yes.
And prohibits the county from charging you any levies or taxes.
Yeah.
Number 2?
And that one actually is anchored on, there is our lawyers worked on a service delivery. There is a service delivery law that it is, they say that it is unconstitutional to charge me for taxes while you don't offer services. So that is one thing that we are telling them. Another thing, we want them to be held accountable, because there is a road called Helena Road that the governor himself came and launched, and they said that we didn't have money for this road. Now we have money for this road. It is only 1 kilometer. It is called Helena Road, and this road was, they started work and it was abandoned again. I called the contractor. He told me that, my friend, I am a businessman. I don't do business where there is no money, and therefore that is why I am out of sight.
So the governor came for groundbreaking.
Yeah.
Launched it.
Construction was supposed to have... Construction started a bit.
Yes.
Contractor is out of the site.
Yes.
And the contractor tells you it's because we have not been paid.
You have not been paid. They went and secured a loan to do the first work. Then they raised a certificate so that they can be paid the first amount. When they erased the certificate and took it to the county, it was not paid. Now the road was abandoned. And you see, this one is misuse of public money, because this road was brought to a certain level, and now it is back to where it was. Yeah, but this contractor will be paid. Even the Mana Rimpa Road was ready for. There was a laying of now priming and laying of the tarmac. That is what was remaining. Every other groundwork and the bases were done. But at the moment, it has gone back. It is worse than the way it was before they did any work. And these are monies, these are government monies that are going to waste. And we want the court to hold them accountable.
Okay.
Another thing, we want because I have tried when I was coming. I tried to get to see the budget, how the expenditure of the county.
Yeah.
But I was unable to get this, because it is a top secret to get the county expenditure. So we want the courts to compel them to put this thing to make this thing public. So that we know there are some information which are not verified, but they are most probably true because of the source. That shows that the county government is paying lawyers of up to a third of the money of the total
revenues.
Budget. The lawyers are given over 2.something billion, and I don't know which.
And you know this for sure?
This is I have this from a very confidential. It is a confidential information that I have from a source that is reputable
within the county government.
Yes.
So what next? Once you go to court and you have lodged this in court, then what?
If the court allows us to do to be exempted, we want to take the Karengata way. You know, there are sometimes back where Karengata petitioned the county government, and they were allowed to handle their monies for some time to do their infrastructure.
Okay.
And that is what we want to do, because we have people, we have landlords who have solutions for garbage collection. They have solutions for sewer system. They have ideas of how they can manage a sewage, but they need some backup from the county government.
The authorities.
Yeah. So if we are able to sit down, and there is a way we can have a mechanism, maybe within the law, where we can manage our funds, then we are able to do it for ourselves.
Right.
Yeah, and that is our end game, is to either the county government do their work or we do it.
So basically, what you want is you want a road.
Yes.
You want water, system. You want a sewer system, you want all these services.
Yeah.
And you want the government to do the job.
Yeah.
Because it's mandated to do it.
Yes.
If not, then it's declared that government is unable to.
Sure.
And then you as citizens take back your sovereignty.
Yeah.
And you sort yourselves out minus government.
Sure.
Okay. How many are you in this petition? Are you doing this as individuals? Are you doing this as registered associations?
At the moment, we are around 3,000 people. We have formed 3 WhatsApp groups, which are almost full, all of them. And the irony is that we have our MPs within the MP of Kajiado North and East are in the WhatsApp group.
Yep.
The MCS are in the WhatsApp group.
Yep.
They see the noises.
Yep.
They keep quiet.
Yep.
And they're waiting for us to do something official so that they can act. And now we are around 3,000, but we are a caucus which is unregistered. So what the lawyers advised is that we have a law firm that are representing. So they told me to be the petitioner.
Yeah.
Then they represent me, but we have urged other resident associations to come in as interested
parties.
Yeah.
Okay. But you've got a good way that you've started. I mean, coming in this from you as an individual who has seen things are not working and you want to raise the issue and agitate and take matters up the way you've taken them, it's really, really commendable. Very many comments coming in and people also saying, yes, various roads, various facilities and services that are not working in other parts of Kajiado as well. We also have a comment from Daniel Kioko who says we should have brought you here with a county official in place. Kioko, thank you for that comment. But also at some point, it's important to get a case like ex parte, even in court. Mm-hmm. You go ex parte, you say, we are coming here, and then the other person is compelled to come and respond. And that's what we do here. We have conversations. We will, of course, have something to ask the county government itself, but they don't have to respond to us. All they need to do is make Otieno and the rest happy by providing the services.
Indeed.
Thank you very much for tuning in to the Situation Room this morning. Otieno Ongaro is a community advocacy group leader from Ongata Rongai in Kajiado. He's been our guest. See you tomorrow. It's 10 a.m.
Spice up your life